Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Night Owl, a show that we do twice a week where we talk about all the latest in pop culture, news, TV and movie reviews, gaming news, and just the general conversation of the day. For those who don't know me, I'm Price of Reason, and with me, as always, is my co host, Professor R2. How's it going, Professor?
Oh, I'm doing all right. Kind of hot. It's that season when you can't get you can't manage to get the AC and the heat like just right. Like you said it one thing and then it's too cold. And, it's awful. So I got the
Well,
fan going over here. I hope you can't hear it.
no, I can't hear, but I can only say what happens in where I live. It's like a time where you're not sure if it's hot or cold. You think it's hot because you see some sun. You go outside, and suddenly there's a lot of wind, and it feels like it's a lot cooler than you thought it would be. So you're still trying to sort of adjust. That's how it is in my area. That you're still trying to adjust, and
Yep.
you never know if it's hot or cold. So this is what's been going on for the past few weeks.
Yep. It's just that season. And well, I've before we get into anything, Price, you have received a mightily generous gift you may want to recognize before
I
we
am
move
going
on
to
to
do
any
that
of our
right now. Let me
topics.
see right now. I don't tell me anything. Let me find it. Wow. Mary White. I don't know what to say to that. There have been only a few times that somebody has given such a nice gift. Mary White has sent 50 Price of Reason Live gift memberships. That is just amazing. I am so thankful. It's so kind of you, so nice of you to do that. And it's this probably tied with one of the biggest gifts anybody's given here on this channel. Certainly, when it comes to 50 memberships, I think that the only other time I remember something like that, and correct me if ever anybody's welcome to correct me if I'm wrong. I think the Big Ship once gave something like that, and Mary White. But we've been doing this for a very long time, and it's not every second that somebody does such a nice gesture. It's very kind of very appreciated, and Mary White is just always really cool. So I just like seeing that Mary White is here no matter what, but the fact that she also gives these gifts, uh, really
Yeah.
humbled by it. Let me see if I can. I want to do something to show some respect. Let me see. I'm going to use some of the technology we have available here at the Night Owl.
Ooh.
So I hope you're ready because like the VFX are off the chain.
Blow
Off
my
the,
mind, Price.
it's off the chain. The VFX here. Where are they? Here you go. Just the state of the art graphics to kind of show just what Mary White's been up to here. I don't think that graphics get better than this. I mean, this is kind of like those Jurassic
Right.
World movies. That's kind of the level effects we get. Oh, you added some
There.
stuff
I
here.
can turn on my confetti. There you go.
That's
Thank
really
you. Thank you, Mary White. It's
thank
incredibly
you, Mary
generous.
White. There's a real celebration here in
Yeah.
your honor.
Turn on the confetti. I can turn on the tumbleweed and roll through the background there.
And then the dead man, he gave 99 cents. It's a pile of poop.
Ah, little poopy. Yes.
Kivo 1961 tripping balls, man. I don't know if you're saying that about us or about you. If it's me, I'm not aware. But if it's you, then hopefully we're a pleasant presence while you're doing that. If that is indeed what you're doing,
We're gonna keep it chill so that
we're
you
gonna
can
keep it chill.
relax.
That's what we do. I
No,
don't know.
no,
I'm hoping that that's what people like about our stream. That we are very chill.
not gonna cause any freakouts here. We're gonna
Both.
keep it easy.
No, that's important because sometimes when you're chilling, whether it's on a recreational level or just your overall mindset, when you're in that kind of chill mindset, especially in the later hours, I think that it's kind of nice to have a more relaxed conversation, and I do think that that's kind of our specialty here at the Night Owl. That and remembering weird things that happen to us and meandering to different topics.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes. Just kinda free flow conversation, just whatever happens to come up. Yeah, that is our thing.
Absolutely. So I guess our first story of the night was I'm not even gonna. I don't want to change the title yet
No,
because I
no,
want to
no,
honor
not
Mary
necessary.
White. But what's
Not
the first
necessary.
story? Trump
Um,
fired Mike Waltz and also his deputy, right? Wong.
yeah, I think so. I think I saw that.
Trump.
So yeah, there was. Let me see.
It was there was Trump and Wong. What was the other guy's name?
Oh goodness.
I feel bad that I don't remember Wong's first name. Is it Wong? Now I feel like
Yeah. Now we're worried that. Let's see. Uh,
it's funny if it's not Wong, and I just it's gonna be a really uncomfortable situation if it's
well,
not Wong.
yeah. Then you just got the wrong person.
Who did he fire today? Come on. Was it
Well, I
Wang?
know Waltz. Let's see, Alex Wong. Yeah, Alex Wong
I am so relieved
was
because
a deputy uh, secretary, a national security advisor. Sorry.
I am so relieved that his name is really Alex Wong because that's what I thought. But when I said it, I thought to myself, if this isn't right, it's not going to reflect well on me.
Yeah,
To
Alex
get on
Wong is Mike
socialist
Waltz's
media that evening.
deputy, national security advisor. Um, yeah, and Alex Wong is leaving his position. I don't know if he's being reassigned, but Mike Waltz is. So Mike Waltz is not necessarily leaving the administration. He's just leaving his post as national security advisor.
Really?
Yes.
That is strange.
So Waltz is now been nominated for the our UN ambassador. Yeah.
How do you explain all of this? What do you make of this switch? Because initially, when I guess when I wrote the initial title, it just seemed like he was removing him. That didn't seem like a positive development. Now, uh, really, does Trump plan to nominate him for ambassador to the
So let's
United
see.
Nations?
Okay. I'm pleased to announce this is a quote from Trump on social media. I'm pleased to announce that I will be nominating Mike Waltz to be the next United States ambassador to the United Nations. From his time in uniform on the battlefield, in Congress, and as national security advisor, Mike Waltz has worked hard to put our nation's interests first. So, uh, yeah, it looks like right now it's going to be Mark Rubio is going to step in temporarily as the national security advisor until they pick someone else. But yeah, so Rubio's kind of doing some heavy lifting right now in a few different positions.
Right. I'm trying to just wrap my head around all of this. I feel like they needed somebody to pay the price for that whole signal chat. And the question is, if Mike Wallace was really the guy, was it Wong? Was it not? Was it Wong?
Yeah.
Did he? I'm not saying if he. I'm not asking if he did something Wong. I'm saying like, did Wong do something?
Oh
Oh,
yes.
I'm never gonna
Oh,
get out of this, am I?
oh yes.
What did what? I am the worst person ever. That's his name. What can I do? His name is
Yeah.
Alex
What can you
Wong,
do?
right? He
Wong.
was there, now he's not there.
You're not Wong.
And and I'm just wondering to myself, what did Alex Wong did do wrong?
There you go.
I did it.
Yep.
What did Alex Wong
Well,
do wrong?
Wong apparently is married to somebody, I believe, an attorney who served in the Biden, who worked in the Biden administration. So some people are curious if, in fact, it was Wong who was the source of that initial signal leak thing that happened. And perhaps the reason that journalist ended up on the signal chat. All of that's speculation, but seems not out of the realm of possibility, I suppose.
So you're saying that perhaps he swung his dong around?
Yeah, oh, yeah. His Wong Dong. God, this has really gone off the rails fast.
uh,
Uh,
this is very bad. This is very bad. But I wanted to ask you: is dong like a penis, or is wang a penis?
uh,
Which
I believe both. Both.
both? You know that I once met Wang Chung, both
Nice.
members. I know that's completely off topic, but I did meet both members of Wang Chung, and after meeting one guy from Wang Chung, it was sort of I don't want to say a convention setting. I don't quite know how to explain it, but it was an event,
Yeah.
and I met one member from Wang Chung, and then later I was online for something, and then next to me was another member of Wang Chung, and I think there's only two members. And the guy was like talking to me, and then I'm like, "Aren't you from Wang Chung?" And he's like, "Yes." I'm like, "You're the second member of Wang Chung that I've met today," and I think there's like only two of them. And at least he was a good sport, and he says, "I'm so sorry you had to go through that," or something like that. He said, and we kind of both chuckled. So at least he was a good sport.
So I think from the chat, I get the impression. I think we need a new emote price.
What is it?
I think we need a lore emote so
We do, we do.
people
We need a lot more
can toss
emotes
an
than
emote out there when Price is dropping some new lore.
Tim Hayes. Hail, Price of Reason Live, and Professor R2. It's good to see you here, Tim Hayes. We're
Hey
always
there,
happy to
Tim.
see you here.
Yes.
And Phantom Monk and a few other people that I saw. Nice to see people on both the YouTube and Rumble side. Always
Yeah.
nice.
Man alive, that whole
So,
chat is green. Everybody's been turned green. Mary White, my goodness, thank you. It's very
thank you so much, Mary White. That's very, very kind of you. And yeah, so back to Alex Wong.
yes.
Do you think he's the one that put the guy from the Atlantic on the Signal chat?
I mean, it's not impossible. So, we learned about what everyone was calling Signal Gate, right? When the editor from the Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg, was on that group chat. So Alex Wong is the deputy, or was the deputy national security advisor, and yes, he is married to a Department of Justice attorney, Candace Wong, who did work under both Biden and Obama. Right.
Oh,
So there's been some speculation that perhaps there might have been, uh, might have been something in there that had something to do with why that name might have gotten added. There may have been some sympathies, with the opposition, perhaps that drove him to maybe put Jeffrey Goldberg into that chat. We don't know. Obviously, it's all speculation.
all speculation.
It was Mike Waltz, right? He was the one that came out and apologized for it, saying that it was his fault.
Somebody must have had that contact. So somebody must have had it. It couldn't have just been added to the Signal chat. So somebody had a phone and had this guy in his phone. Now it could be any of them, I guess. But were all of them really sitting around with this guy's contact info in their phone? I'm not sure. Do they all have relationships with this guy? I didn't think so, but
Yeah, no, I don't think so. No.
so really, how it's not even the fact of like you're adding the wrong person to a chat. How does a guy like that even pop up? Who added him? And that's really a question. I don't know. I guess my question to you, Professor, how do you think this will reflect on Pete Hegseth? Do you think that this is a way of like, you know, pointing the finger at somebody for that whole Signal Gate situation, getting Pete Hegseth out of the line of fire, so to speak, and then he's just going to continue to do his thing? Or do you think that Pete Hegseth himself is also in danger of maybe losing his position?
Yeah, I think if anything, yeah, this is designed or intended to help take some of the heat off Hegseth. There's been this nonstop just ridiculous amounts of heat on him for this whole signal thing, and then people coming out saying, "Oh, there were other signal chats too," and then there were other people. He had a signal chat with his wife that had confidential information in it. There's absolutely no evidence of this, right? But I don't know. As I've said before, it's entirely possible that that Hegseth is in over his head. This is a big job. It's a big job. It takes a lot of time and effort and concentration. It takes a lot of coordination. He's not been in that kind of role before. Uh, do I like him? Yeah, I think he's fine. I like a guy who kind of says what he means and lives out his life. You know the way that he does in private and publicly, right? He's kind of an open book, at least, at least it seems he is. But I like him all right. I don't have a problem with him being in that role. But there seems to have been an awful lot of issues already at this point, and yeah, I I do think that this particular action is intended to try and take some of the heat off Pete Hegseth.
You
Whether it's
know,
successful or not, who knows?
just my personal opinion. I think that sort of Pete Hegseth, he served. People forget this. There are all these kind of media people that like to throw him under the bus. He served his country. I mean, you could say, like you're saying, some people are saying maybe the job is too big for him. It isn't too big for him, but I don't think that. I think the amount of hate he's been getting is probably over the top. The thing with the signal thing, it's embarrassing. I don't know if it's all his fault or if it was Mike Waltz, or if it was Alex Wong. Somebody had that guy's number and somehow he got added. To me, it almost sounded like a hack. You know what I mean? It sounded like it was so bonkers that that guy would be on the signal chat that it almost seems like somebody would orchestrate it rather than just accidentally him being there. In spite of everything that the mainstream media tried to present afterwards, it just, you could say, well, it's the craziest coincidence that ever happened that that guy ended up being on the signal chat. And maybe there's like a 0.001% chance that that actually was a bizarre freak accident. But really, with that guy on that chat, doesn't feel like a coincidence to me. Call me conspiracy theorist, call me whatever you want. It's just kind of strange.
Just don't call him late for dinner.
And then, Bigot on social media says, doesn't the government have their own platform for communication? It's funny that you mentioned that. We actually talked about that recently, me and the professor here, that it seems like if they were planning or if they're working on it, they really need to, step on the gas pedal there and make sure there's sort of a internal kind of chat system that you can have these conversations and that it's encrypted in a way that is more safe and that doesn't let you just bring in people like that another case like this couldn't happen again. Like I said, in the past, in the military, I know they had like a special line, like a landline that was like a red phone,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, there's
then
secure there's secure lines, secure lines of communication, and, yeah, my understanding is that there is a platform that's been in development for a while, but it's not anything that's actually been deployed. I could be wrong. I do not work in national security. I don't work for the military, so I don't know. But as my understanding, there's been something like that that was supposed to have been completed a while ago or deployed, but it's not actually available yet. Sounds like something Istophobos might know about, but I'm not. I don't see.
so
I don't see Ista in the chat right now.
you know what? I'm trying to think. It's not a red phone because I think that we're talking about like an intra phone system, intra military phone system. Uh, I don't know why I thought these phones are red, but red phone also could be referring to some kind of secret communication between the U.S. and Russia, or at least I think it used to mean that.
Yeah,
But I don't mean that. I mean the kind of there is such a thing, a field telephone. I think that could be That could
Yeah,
mean
there's a few different things that I think that they have available for secure communications. I just don't know about like like a texting app kind of thing, right?
I mean,
Uh,
I'm telling you, like, we're talking, like, many decades back, they had their
oh
own kind of
yes, yeah,
system, and now we live in a much, more modern time, so whatever they had decades ago, that doesn't matter right now to us, but I think that with all the technology that we have today, it's not unreasonable that these guys are gonna have a system that they can, share their own messages, have very, very, uh specific encryption, maybe even have like a cell phone that's not the regular cell phone they have, a separate one just for this communication.
yep,
But in any
yep.
case, maybe there's lessons that could be learned from this whole incident from Signal Gate, and hopefully there will be. Bingo Hazmat, hello there. How's it going? Marks for seven. Basically, nothing is supposed to be wireless. They have to give Trump a very special phone to tweet from his first term. They wouldn't even make a second one for Pence or some other higher ups. I believe that. Bingo Hazmat was gifted a membership by Bigot on social media. I appreciate that. That's on the Rumble side.
Yes,
So I love seeing that. I love seeing that
yeah.
kind of activity on Rumble too. We love, being on all platforms. The headquarters for this show, and I say this often, is Rumble. This is where the show originated, the Night Owl, and that's our like headquarters. This if you're watching on Rumble now, if you're on the app and you haven't already signed up for it, you should definitely do it. It's free, and once you do, you should follow us and you should like the stream. And if you're on any other platform, you should also subscribe and give us a like. I'm not forcing you, but it would be nice. Sometimes when I say that, I feel like that commercial. You remember when we were young, there was like a commercial where this like really plump guy is walking around in Africa and he's talking like next to hungry kids.
I don't remember this one.
There was this guy that looked like he just ate. I feel like South Park later made a joke about this, only they did it a different spin. They were making fun of like Sarah Struthers or something. But before like they're making fun of her throughout the years, there was this like kind of plump man in Africa, and he's like, "Come on, you got to give money to these starving kids." Now, it's a nice gesture and all, but somehow the fact that he was kind of this old plump guy walking around, it added an unintentionally comedic element. I know it's not supposed to be funny. I'm not laughing at the people going hungry. That's not funny. The commercial itself, separating from the important issue that it addresses, just kind of the production and the production value of the commercial, it was kind of ridiculous. You don't know what I'm talking about?
No, no, not at all.
Suzanne
It
Summers.
sounds like it would be like a sketch on a
It
on
is
a
because I feel like later they made fun of it on South Park. Kelly Hunt says Suzanne Summers. Suzanne Summers had the Thigh Master, and she was spectacular with the Thigh Master. She was very good at that. Uh, let me see if I can find this. Now, tell some jokes, Professor. I want to see if I can find.
Tell some
They'd say like
jokes.
for less than a cup of coffee a day, and then there's like
Yeah,
some.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I've definitely seen those. Uh,
Let me see if I can find it. There's one. There's one. Find something like that. Okay, infomercial. Infomercial. Yeah,
yep.
infomercial. Hungry kids. I mean, I feel bad. I don't want to laugh at the thing because I'm not, laughing at the kids. I just want that fatso guy, but I can't find him. Like it's like a guy that I don't trust even for 1 second. Oh well.
See, I remember the kind of like feed the children, commercials, infomercial things. I don't particularly remember one that had an overweight man walking around.
I actually think that's a thing. I don't know why I remember this thing and I can't find it. That there was just like there was just some guy walking around and He seemed like the last
Yeah.
guy that I would hire to be the
Yeah.
spokesperson of this thing.
Yeah, Suzanne Summers, someone mentioned it was Suzanne Summers was, like the workouts. It was
Yeah, she wasn't
Sally
helping.
Struthers who did
Right.
the Africa things. Sally Struthers had several actual commercials that were well known. Oh, my browser's freaking out. Okay. Yeah, with the where she did like a needy kids thing. Although the most famous Sally Struthers commercial was the ICS online school, or not online, but mail away, like send away school. Do you remember those? Those were particularly famous. You know, would you like to make more money? Sure, we all would. And then goes through the ICS learning systems thing where she talks about all these careers you could learn: TV and VCR repair, animal care, electricians, auto mechanics, like all of these careers that you could learn through their little correspondence school. That was a classic. But yeah, she did
This is
some.
the Sally
So that's the
Struthers on
South
South
Park.
Park.
Yeah, okay.
Basically, they did one
So-
episode about her, and
yeah.
rumor has it that she got really upset, so they did another episode, and
Oh
they
no.
made it even worse. That's the thing with South Park. I think that if they make fun of you, the best thing you can do is say nothing, because if you start
Just
getting annoyed at them, they're going to
just
do
laugh it
another
off.
round.
The best thing you can do is just have a laugh at it and laugh at yourself and move
Right.
on.
So I think this is the second time which they made it. That is pretty funny. Come on.
It's very amusing.
The fact that they had the little creature like in Java, I don't know. Right. Like that was like the nice touch. Really, I mean, I'm not saying that South Park aren't funny. Like these days, they're always funny, but during those earlier days, they were really always very daring. I loved. Marks for Seven said, my Ethiopian friend loved the Starvin' Marvin joke. So then I told him how to start a marathon there. Then I didn't have an Ethiopian friend anymore. I see. Yeah, I mean, the second one, they made her into Jabba the Hutt, and I thought that was funny because, of course, I like Star Wars. So, I mean, I got the joke immediately, and they set it up in this video as like abbreviated version. But the way I thought when they said they're going to meet her, she'll be like in the previous episode, which was bad enough. But because she annoyed them, they made her much worse this time around, and they made her like Jabba. It's kind of brilliant. Come on, you gotta love it.
Yes. Oh, it's
Did somebody watch the He-Man trailer? Is there a He-Man trailer?
He-Man trailer.
Now I'm
I
curious.
did not know there was a He-Man trailer.
I like He-Man, so if there's a He-Man trailer, I want to see it. Unless it's something that I saw already. I don't know. He-Man trailer.
I see a whole bunch of fake AI trailers that people
Fake
made up.
AI, a lot of weird stuff.
I did see the trailer, some of the trailers that were in front of Thunderbolts today. There were a couple of decent looking movies.
That is true.
During those trailers.
I know a lot of people like a lot of different
and the masters of the universe.
This is like the real deal.
Classic, yes.
Through the secrets of Castle Grayskull. This is Cringer.
Cringer.
Fabulous secret powers were revealed to me the day I held aloft my magic sword.
Strangely says that fabulous
power of Grayskull. Cringer became the mighty Battle Cat, and I became He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe.
That's the only trailer I need. I don't need anything else.
Yeah, who needs other stuff?
I don't think that any He-Man that you create is going to make me as happy as this. Like this theme song makes me.
The evil forces of Skeletor.
Do you know that the first episode, I think, of He-Man, instead of the evil forces of Skeletor, I think he says the evil masters of the universe, which is really weird.
Okay.
I think there was like an alternate opening that maybe they used for the first episode and then they kind of buried it. But there is a different version that exists, and I heard it once and I'm like, what is this? But there is such a thing. Anyhow, so yeah, that's the He-Man trailer.
Hmm.
That's it. I shared it, and I feel good about it.
Yeah, I'm not seeing another trailer here either on YouTube or looking on
I
X.
don't see
So
anything.
yeah, all I find on YouTube are a bunch of things that are all AI generated stuff. I did hear that there was a leak showing She-Ra on the movie set,
Oh, I didn't know that.
potentially, but
I hope it's not the Netflix Shira. I hope it's like a Shira that looks like Shira.
yeah, let's see if I can
There were news of teases of Zodok and Shira, but I don't know if that's set pics or whatever. Yeah, I mean, the original Shira. If you look at the way she looked like very womany, and then they made her for Netflix, and she looked like
Oh, yeah, it's awful. No, yeah, the original, she's very feminine, but she's also quite strong, and she's a very capable hero. I never had a problem with She-Ra. I actually enjoyed watching that cartoon along with He-Man when I was a kid.
I
It was
didn't
great.
mind it either. What is it that people say that it looks like something that was created on Pinterest? What is Tumblr? That's it.
Uh,
The Shira. I don't know why I said Pinterest. The Shira
yeah.
on Netflix. It looks like a Tumblr person drew it, and of course they had to make her that she's into women and all that stuff. It was so annoying. I don't know why I got so like. Listen, it's not that I really wanted to watch that Shira thing. Like I knew from like the first frame that it's just a bunch of garbage. But back in the day, if you look at the way Shira was drawn, it's kind of cool. Uh,
Yeah.
let's see for a second. There's something very important that once happened on He-Man. Let's see it.
This week on a very special episode of He-Man.
Here. This is very, very important. Okay, are you ready? Chat, I hope you're all ready for this very important thing I'm going to present
This
to
has
you.
Orko.
I
Her
love that.
She-Ra was about honor and strength of character and stuff more than it was just like, oh, look how powerful I am, right? So that was kind of the interesting thing. It's different characters. It's how you approach masculinity and femininity and how they do good in the world and how they interact with each other. All of those things are perfectly fine. But of course, today, no, no, no. She can't be overpowered by no man. She's got to be stronger and better. Can't be that she represents different important values for people, right? It's ridiculous.
Something very important, another thing, because I was asked, there's the AI ones, but Bingo Hazmat shared this, so we can look at it. This is, I guess, one of the AI ones they did. I haven't seen it until now. We'll give it a chance for a second. I guess it's one as if Chris Hemsworth would be He-Man. I think he'd be a pretty good He-Man, actually.
I think he'd make a great He-Man, but yeah, that's not who they've brought in for the He-Man picture.
Eternia, a land of beauty and power, where heroes and villains fought not just for control, but for the very soul of this world. For years we fought side by side, heroes protecting the weak, villains seeking to conquer. But now,
I mean, it looks pretty cool.
Do you know what's been happening with all these AI trailers, Price? Have you heard
What?
about some of the controversy?
this is what
What's been
remains,
happening?
the legacy of
So,
those who came before us.
These
and now the
people
fight
go out and
for
they make these
Eternia
AI trailers, these
is
fake
mine
trailers,
to bear alone.
and for a while the tactic, what these studios were doing was forcing them to be taken down, like as quickly as possible. They would want them taken down
Eternia may
and
be
removed
broken,
and demonetized.
but its spirit
stuff.
still burns, and
So
I will
now
not stop
these studios
until it
instead
rises again.
are making it so that all of these AI made trailers, instead of being demonetized, are simply being set up so that all of the monetization gets paid back to the original company. So in this case, it would be, I believe, Warner Brothers has the rights to He-Man. So they'll leave them up. These people will create these AI trailers, whatever. They'll leave them up, and then all of the revenue goes to Warner Brothers instead of the people who made it.
Yeah, that's the smart thing to do. That's what they should have done from day one.
Yeah. Some
I
people are
mean, that
pretty
looks
pissed about it, but, you know, what would you rather they took your content down?
um,
I mean, that seems silly, but
it's fine. I mean, it's not your property. You're doing a trailer. You're making money off of it. I understand. I mean, unless it's a parody, I can understand why they'd want to, take your money, I guess.
yeah.
But
The,
I thought that didn't look bad for an AI trailer. Some of these AI trailers are surprisingly decent.
yeah, some of them are not bad at all, yeah. The actual film, just because we were mentioning it, the actual He-Man film, the star is, Nick Galitzine, and so this is gonna be the actual guy playing He-Man. I hope he bulks up a little bit. I hope they don't make it entirely, CGI muscles, because that would suck.
This is a strange. This is totally
Yeah,
random. Again, I'm adding to the lore. Uh, about I want to say maybe like 8 years ago, I was at a sort of a networking event, industry event, whatever you want to call it. And I was talking to some people. They claimed that they were producing a He-Man movie, and then they introduced me to a guy who was a really big guy. He looked like significantly taller than me, like with a lot of muscles. And they
sure.
said that this guy right here, he's going to be playing He-Man, and they spoke about it so like they were really convinced that they were doing it. I don't remember who these people were. I can tell you that they never made a He-Man movie, and that man was never He-Man.
Yeah.
But this really did happen. They were sure of it. Uh, Unless it was just kind of like a fake it till you make it. They're like, let's just say that we're doing He-Man, and this is our He-Man. It made sense to me at that moment. I actually didn't think they were lying. I'm like, of course, like he's He-Man.
Yeah. Oh, that was kind of how they, did things back with, oh, who was it? Canon Group, right? Canon Films and, Golan Globus Productions. They were going around announcing all kinds of movies they didn't have the rights to, they didn't have money for.
You
They
know
just
what? I'm surprised nobody's done like a biopic about them. Seeing how they made money would probably made movies and stuff would probably be hysterical. They ran, at least in my opinion, they ran their whole studio kind of like you would run this kind of flea market with like hustlers and stuff. It was such a kind of slippery operation. But with all of that being said, there are some gems that company produced
Oh, they did, yeah.
that because like on one hand you can criticize their mentality, but on the other hand it's that exact mentality that generates some like crazy things that probably would not get made anywhere else.
Yeah, there were some gems that came out of, sort of just the utter chaos that was the
Isn't like over the
Golden
top of
Globus and
Golan
Canon stuff, yes.
Globus,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and then there were some disasters. You'll remember Superman 4 was produced by them.
yes, yes, I
It
do
was
remember that.
it was astonishingly bad. They had some others. They had a bunch of those. Really, just sort of wild action flicks that they produced. Uh, they made a bunch of Chuck Norris things.
Yeah, they kind of patented that idea of taking kind of like an aging star and turning him into like an action guy. I feel like that was a very early version of Bloodsport. You wouldn't have had Bloodsport if not for them.
Yeah, you
They
also had
discovered they discovered Jean-Claude Van Damme, and
did yeah
Bloodsport is a
yeah.
is a canon movie if I'm not mistaken.
You had a number of other things that they did as well. They had a bunch of pictures with Charles Bronson.
Yes,
They did,
Over the Top,
yeah, yeah, and they did a bunch of the whole
Death
ninja,
Wish.
the ninja genre of the 1980s. They had a bunch of those.
Even the
Uh,
first Masters of the Universe, it is what it is. It's a silly
yeah,
movie, but it kind of, has its moments, I guess. Cobra. I don't think
hmm
you'd have Cobra if it wasn't for Canon. I mean, some of the Breakin' and like Breakin' 2
Yeah,
Electric
Breaking 2,
Boogaloo.
Electric Boogaloo, yeah.
You wouldn't like today. That's like a term that people use until today, like Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo. You wouldn't even have that without them.
Yep.
There are things that they legitimately created. I didn't know that Joe was there. As I'm trying to see what else they have. They definitely had some interesting movies.
Yeah, there was American Ninja, Enter the Ninja, Revenge of the Ninja. A whole
Was that
bunch.
theirs? The whole ninja thing was theirs?
Well, it wasn't all theirs. There were quite a few, these martial arts ninja picks that were brought in dirt cheap over from, Japan, Korea, China, where they brought these in and just sort of dubbed them over. There were a whole bunch of those, but yeah, they had a bunch of more American produced pictures. I can't remember. There was which one was sort of the it was Ninja 3, The Domination, which was why it was an appallingly bad film. Uh, he did King Solomon's Mines was one that they did.
Oh, King Solomon's Mind, yeah.
Yeah,
Mines, yeah. Listen, they had their own charm. They did whatever they did. We wouldn't have a lot of gems. Sometimes, like, you need a guy that'll just be like, "Who cares if we don't
yeah,
have money? Let's just
yeah.
film
What the
this movie."
hell? Let's go make Lou Ferrigno's Hercules. Let's go make
Right. I
that.
mean, there's something charming. I mean, recently you gave me to watch, or you recommended that I watched Roger Corman's production of the Fantastic Four,
Yeah,
and that's not a canon movie, but you know what? It felt there
it
were moments that it kind of felt like that, and there was something charming about that movie. It's
yeah.
not a great movie, but there's certain parts about it that you couldn't completely not. It got a smile out of me watching that movie for whatever it is. Sometimes when
It's
there's a group of people that are passionate about their movie, even if they don't have the money or the effects or the resources, you kind of appreciate what they do. And I feel like that first Fantastic Four had that feeling, which you recommended that I watch.
it's kind of innocent and fun in what it
Yes.
is. It's not a brilliantly made movie. It is
No, not at
the
all.
special effects are pretty rough, although for the budget that they had, they've got like an articulated like puppet face for the thing. Like it's kind of impressive what they did with the budget. Of course, that was Roger Corman's thing. Like he would make things happen on these little budgets. And yeah, it does feel like one of those low budget 80s productions. It feels like a Corman picture. It's not offensive. It's kind of like, yeah, they made this on a shoestring budget and they did pretty well. I still say the Doctor Doom that is in that movie is the best representation they've had of
I
Doom
agree
in
with you.
any attempt
I
they've
agree with
made
you.
at making a final or Fantastic Four.
You know what? I agree with you because they went so simple, and you told me this before I watched it. They just went the most simple route they could go, but you know what? It does whatever it's supposed to do. They didn't try to like over philosophize it. They just went for the simple solution, and I think that whatever they did in that movie is if nothing else, it's somewhat serviceable. So I
Yeah,
tend to agree with
yeah.
you. But before I forget, so Trump fired. I don't know how we got here. Trump
It doesn't matter.
fires Mike Waltz,
Yeah.
and at the same time, there's Elon versus the Wall Street Journal.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah.
I think that we haven't really gotten to that yet.
Yeah.
But let me see what I can do. So do you know anything about this?
This I have not heard anything about today. I'm
Okay, so what
huh.
happened is that the Wall Street Journal, they had an article that they said basically, did you know that the Tesla board was already looking to replace Elon Musk as CEO because they were so annoyed with him with DOGE and all that stuff, so they wanted him gone, and they just like published this article, uh, and then let me see
Hmm. Okay. Yeah.
here. This is it. This is I don't know if it's going to make me pay, but which I'm not going to do. But this is what the article looked like. And they did an exclusive. Tesla board opens search for a CEO to succeed Elon Musk. With profits and stock price sinking, board members told Musk he needed to spend more time at the company. And it's some whole nonsense here that it says. Now, listen, if this was true, it's fine. But what happened was, and I don't know if you saw this, basically, Tesla themselves, their board made an announcement.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
So I'm trying to find their Tesla. Trying to see if.
Think I
Okay, here you go. I found it. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Earlier today, there was a media report erroneously claiming that the Tesla board had contacted recruitment firms to initiate a CEO search at the company. This is absolutely false, and this was communicated to the media before the report was published. The CEO of Tesla is Elon Musk, and the board is highly confident in his ability to continue executing on the exciting growth plan ahead. So this is from the board, an announcement that was made. Meanwhile, I think that I also saw Musk himself. Let me see if I can find that. Let me see.
So looking at the chat here, some Marks 47 says, I bet once the stock took a hit that heavy, they were obligated to start looking for a replacement, whether they wanted to or not. Fiscal responsibility and all. It's possible. I wouldn't be surprised if discussions took place, but not that they were necessarily like very.
I mean, they may have called
You
him
know-
for they may have called Elon Musk and said, "Listen, man, you got to spend more time here and distance yourself from all that DOGE stuff. It's really hurting the company." And maybe he said, "Okay," but I don't know if that's the same thing as them actively like interviewing and looking aggressively for another CEO. Those are two very different things. Elon Musk, you see from
very
this,
different.
he says, "It's not that all WSJ stories are fake, but they are almost all mean-spirited and deceptive." And I think that probably covers what's going on here. It's not unreasonable to think that somebody on some board will have some conversation, but there's still a difference between saying something like that and making it seem like they were already in 1 second already hiring a different CEO. Those are two very different things. That's what it seems like, at least.
Yeah, and a board, a board having those kind of discussions on a just basic level, just maybe we should talk about this. That doesn't mean anything, right? That's nothing more than just somebody saying, "Yeah, maybe we should talk a little bit about it." It until you're in like really advanced discussions, actually, moving forward with, "Hey, we need to remove this guy as CEO." Then those conversations are nothing more than that. They're just conversations, right? And boards have those kinds of conversations all the time, especially when there is some kind of controversy, some kind of scandal, or anything of that nature going on, inside the organization. So, um, uh, don't think that's particularly a challenge. Oh, it looks like we got a Rumble rant over here from One Dirty Bird.
One Dirty Bird. I'm watching 15 Minutes Behind. They quit using the red phone because they got tired of talking to Adam West.
They did indeed, yes.
Did Batman have a red phone? Is that why it's always in red in my mind?
Yeah, well, and there was a red phone in Commissioner Gordon's office. Yeah,
That's what I'm thinking of. That's the kind of phone we need. Exactly what Batman had with Commissioner Gordon. That's it. That's probably what was on my mind. There's something charming about those old Batman.
Oh, absolutely. I love I love the 66 Batman. It's absolutely classic. Oh,
Here, let me see. Okay, this is the best. Let me see if I can share this. This is for you, One Dirty Bird. Can you see it, Professor?
Yep.
And in Wayne Manor, stately home of millionaire Bruce Wayne and his
Stately home of millionaire Bruce Wayne.
Naturally, sir.
I'll call him, sir. I'll summon him, sir. I'll call him, sir. I'll call him, sir. I'll beckon him, sir, immediately.
All right, Commissioner. I'll fetch him for you.
He's just come in, sir. I'll get him for you. I'll solicit his presence, sir. I'll summon him, sir.
I shall secure today.
Anyhow, that was for you.
Yes. Yes, and I particularly loved the bat phone in the commissioner's office. Do you remember? It was like under a little like cake cover,
Yeah.
like a little plastic dome over
Right.
it.
Yeah. Like you cover a cake. It's such a silly prop, you know. But
Oh yeah, but I loved that phone lit up. I still want a phone that does that. I want my iPhone to be transparent and like just light up whenever I get a phone call like that. Especially funny considering that in the 1960s, like no one had a phone that was any color other than black.
right.
You got to be a millionaire to have a red phone, right?
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Anyhow, I guess back to what we were doing. But where were we again? I feel like we've gone all over the place. So
Yeah, we were talking briefly about Elon and the whole thing with
yeah,
the Wall Street Journal. So.
and I think the thing is that if this was, let's say, like 10 years ago and the Wall Street Journal printed something like that, I would take it really seriously. I'd be like, they must know what they're talking about. This must have happened exactly the way they're describing it. But these days, when I see any kind of mainstream media article, I'm just not 100% sure. You know, it could be sometimes you're like, well, where there's smoke, there's fire, and maybe that's true. But somehow the trustworthiness of the mainstream media is so low these days that I'm not 100% sure what really happened. If there's maybe 10% truth, if there's 20%, if there's 0%, if it's just a flat out lie. I just don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, if I had to give my analysis, I would think that these kind of conversations probably took place behind closed doors, but I don't know how active anybody was looking here. I think that probably seems a step further than what really happened.
Yeah, it seems unlikely. That would be a pretty big move, and I'm sure that there are some pretty solid supporters of Elon on that board. So I think it would take a lot for them to start having those discussions. And already some of the backlash against everything that's been happening with DOGE and with Tesla, already some of that started to cool down. So, I mean, we're not getting stories daily about some dumbass out there scratching up someone's car or, you know, other types of vandalism, right?
Yeah.
In fact, the last Tesla story I saw was about somebody.
So I think we went
you
over
seen-
all
oh,
that
go ahead.
stuff, and inevitably, I think we've arrived at talking about the Thunderbolts.
Oh, really? Okay.
You know what? I may
Let's do it.
surprise you. I may
Let's do it.
surprise you in this conversation, but let me see if I can pull up a nice graphic for Thunderbolts.
How spoilery are we getting tonight, chat?
What does the chat say? I don't want to ruin it for people if they
Yeah.
especially want to see it. What do people say in the chat?
Waiting for some response here. What do we think, chat? Are we gonna spoil it tonight?
Let's see if there's a poll. Can I create a poll? I'm sure I can. I just don't remember how to do it. How do I create a poll?
Let's see. Phantomonk says, "Spoil it up." Bingo Hazmat says, "Go on." Bigot on socialist media. I don't know about it, but I'm fine with it.
I mean, is there so much to spoil here? But
I
okay.
really don't think there is, to be honest.
Okay, I just posted for the first time ever. I posted a poll.
A poll. Should we spoil?
I did that on the YouTube side because I don't know if on Rumble. Do we have polls on Rumble?
Well, I don't know.
I'm not sure. I absolutely just have no idea.
Don't
Oh,
know.
don't know. Yeah, I have no idea. I wish I was more savvy. Let's see what people are saying in the. Yes, 92% of the people are saying that we should spoil.
Out of 12 votes.
Well, hopefully a few more people will vote, but yeah.
And then we got a super chat from Kivo over on Rumble.
So it's a Rumble rant.
Rumble rant, not a super chat.
Yes.
Excuse me, Rumble. I apologize. Rumble rant.
You got to watch tonight's Jesse Waters, Elon, and the whole DOGE team was on. Very fascinating and funny. I did watch a few clips from that, so maybe we'll after we talk a little bit about the Thunderbolts, let's see if we can kind of find a little bit about that.
Yeah,
We'll
then
definitely do that.
there was a couple of groups or a couple places I saw. There was about 15 minutes or so of that got talked about or got posted on X. So there's a little footage in there. I thought it was interesting. Yeah, I actually did. I actually did watch some of that earlier this evening. So
anyhow, as usual, this site is always very strange. I mean, 88% to 96% seems like obscene. Okay. It's like the Wall Street Journal as well, like the Rotten Tomatoes thing. I just can't trust these guys anymore.
So yeah,
I haven't been able to.
Over on Metacritic right now, based on 50 critic reviews, Thunderbolts has a 68.
Which I feel is a more probably representative.
A little bit more representative. Not enough user ratings yet for them to give it a user score. So, but yeah, 68 for critic reviews over on Metacritic. So that does feel a little more representative of this particular film. I do know there's a few reviewers out there who have seemed to think this is the second coming, and there's more than a few that are less than impressed. Specifically, I don't know. Did you happen to see Alan Ng's review on Film Threat?
I did not see his review. Sometimes those guys are more generous than I am, but I don't know what his thing was.
Alan was not kind.
Oh, not kind?
No, he was not kind to this movie at all.
I'll tell you what. I'm going to surprise you here. And I've said it earlier today before. I think that this movie, if we're looking at like all the MCU movies that ever been made, this is not anybody. I can't imagine that this is anybody's favorite movie. This isn't like the top 10. I don't know how many they were. This is probably not the top 20. But I will say this. There have been worse movies than this in the MCU. Meaning, it did like the bare minimum to just be kind of okay. You know, there was a time that the MCU was riding high. And even though, like, you know, I was enjoying every movie, I'd see a movie like Ant-Man 2, which really wasn't a good movie, and I'd let it slide. There would be enough, like, goodwill for me. Even if the movie isn't great, the general feeling is good. And I'd be like, okay, whatever, it's not such a good movie. You know, Thunderbolts, this is not like, you know, going to compete with Iron Man. It's not going to compete with the Avengers. This is it's more like it's better than Captain Marvel. It's better, in my opinion, than Ant-Man 2. Okay? It's better than Wakanda Forever. It's better than the Eternals.
Yes.
Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
absolutely.
There are movies that are significantly worse than this movie, but at the same time, this movie is just kind of okay for me.
Yeah,
and
this is not bottom of the barrel. This is not Eternals. This is not Captain Black America.
No, this is better than Captain Falcon America. Absolutely.
This film, I genuinely, I had moments that I really enjoyed. I thought the actual story that was told was cohesive. It kind of all worked together. There weren't times when I went, "Wait, what? Huh? What's what's happening?" Right? It just kind of it all worked together. Some of the performances were good, some of the performances not so great. It's an okay movie. It's not a great movie. This is not the comeback film of the MCU. And I'll be honest, I don't think this is going to do well in theaters. I do not think people are going to care for this movie, and I don't think it's going to get particularly great, you know, word of mouth. That to really bring people who are disinterested in the MCU now, it's not going to bring them to the theaters.
You know, you may be right, but I'll tell you this, and I heard from Nick today as well. Uh, we both went to theaters that a lot of times in this kind of early screening, you don't see a lot of people. His theater was like half full. Mine was half full. I felt that there was a warmer reception, not only with the people, with the amount of people that showed up for it, but just the general audience reaction. More warm reception to this than to Captain Falcon America. So it has a chance. It wasn't. I think that the budget wasn't as high as Captain Falcon America. I think
Oh,
that
not
like
even close.
yeah. So I think that
Not
with a
even close.
lower budget and maybe like word of mouth, that's not going to be as much of a disaster, and maybe a few people actually going to see it. It may just be kind of inoffensive enough to skate by. I don't think it's going to do fantastic, but
Yeah.
and again, it's a flawed movie. I'll put it this way: people said they don't mind spoilers. The first act of the movie basically is probably the weakest one for me, and I'll tell you why. Because I feel like they very quickly want to give you this feeling that these guys have to work together. The only thing is that when we saw that with the Avengers in 2011, we had a separate movie for every one of these characters.
Yes, we
Even
did.
the Incredible Hulk that was recast had his own movie. They all had their own movie giving some backstory, and then suddenly they all have to work together. And you're already invested in these characters, and now they're working together, and they continue to do that. Where they expanded the universe, you got to know them with smaller stories, and then they all met up and became something even bigger. In this case, I feel like they want to create that atmosphere right out the gate, and as much as I think they did the best they could to put them all together quickly in some kind of situation, at the end of the day, you can't really manufacture that kind of investment in characters without doing the groundwork. And unfortunately, Yelena was in Black Widow and in Hawkeye, and I really didn't, prior to this movie, had
Yep.
no even positive feelings towards her. In fact, I didn't even like Florence Pugh in the role.
Yep.
I didn't really, for me, like this was a huge downgrade from Scarlett Johansson that she was sort of replacing. And I thought that Scarlett Johansson looked more the part. And she also went to the gym every day and looked like she was more into this whole situation, where Florence Pugh doesn't fully convince me.
You can call her Florence Pugh. That's fine.
No, I didn't mean to call her Florence Pugh. That was a Freudian slip. I don't know. In any case, no, I don't have anything against her. I honestly don't.
Yeah.
You have those other characters. One from Ant-Man 2, which she was annoying there.
Yeah.
you
And she
have
was basically pointless in this movie. I did not understand at all the inclusion of Ghost. She's a non-entity for most of the film.
for the most of it, but there were a few parts that they needed somebody to like go through particles and be invisible or whatever. So it was like they found some use for her.
They did.
They also wanted to create like a gang atmosphere. John Walker, like a U.S. agent, I thought that they really, I thought the actor was fine. In one of the only bright spots of that stupid Falcon and Winter Soldier show is I thought that he was fine, but they made him out to be this like terrible guy because he's like getting rid of some bad guy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh, and there's a line in the film where they're like, "Didn't you get caught on camera murdering an innocent person or something?" And it's like, no, he was fighting a terrorist
Right,
that
and then he
had
said, "Well,
just
I don't think he was
murdered his
innocent."
partner.
Right. He just I don't know why they continue to peddle this weird narrative. I didn't like it, even though he said, well, he wasn't really innocent. So at least they gave him that. But it's a character that I think was misused and disrespected in that Falcon and Winter Soldier show. I also think that for a while, Bucky, nothing good was done with him either.
Mhm.
And then what happens in this movie is I feel like somebody at least made the most minimal of minimal efforts to do a little bit of course correction, in the sense that I think that Bucky seemed more like Bucky than we've seen in a while. Certainly more than that stupid Falcon and Winter Soldier show. I I, I thought he was fine here. I was happy
Yeah,
to see him. He
yeah,
didn't bother me. This is like it shouldn't be a huge achievement that they're just making like mediocre stuff and didn't ruin him, but
yeah,
it is true. They didn't make him like a joke or that everybody's like, making fun of him or he's stupid or anything. They
yeah,
didn't do that. Florence Pugh, I'll say that I think that maybe she doesn't have the looks of Scarlett Johansson and she doesn't have the gym work ethics that Scarlett Johansson had, but she does have acting chops. And I think that there's some like moments in this movie that they gave her like more dramatic beats actually. And
yeah.
those are the moments where you could tell where she actually does excel as an actress. And I
Mhm.
didn't think that her performance was bad when looking at those moments. I also feel like she toned down a little bit of that Russian accent.
Yeah, the accent was lighter in this,
Lighter.
and
It's
and
very
that was
important.
fine. That was fine.
It was fine. I mean, honestly, with Scarlett Johansson, they just said, "Oh, she doesn't have an accent now," and everybody's like, "Great." You know what I mean? With
yeah,
Wanda Maximoff, they tried the same thing. Initially, she had like a bit of an accent, and somebody says, so probably behind the scenes, like somebody told her, "Hey, Toots, why don't you just speak like an American?" And then she's like, "Okay," and that was the end.
do I
And
have to keep talking in this accent?
right.
No, please
I
stop.
don't know if they called her Toots, okay? I'm imagining that somebody with a like a studio
No.
executive with a cigar came out and said,
Yeah.
"Hey, Toots."
Ah, yeah. Yeah, Toots, come here.
And then so she dropped it, and I feel like here I think she could have dropped it even more, but there's a significant reduction in that
It is.
annoying
Yeah,
Russian
yeah.
accent she did. I thought that was better. John Walker, I liked him more here than on the show because they gave him a chance to like be more useful. And even though they were presenting him as kind of like a douche, but I feel like over time you're okay with him. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
do.
so I never had a problem with him. I thought he was fine. I
And the
thought
guy's a good
sort of the
actor. I don't
treatment.
remember the name of the actor. He's a good actor.
The actor is Wyatt Russell.
Wyatt
Yeah.
Russell. There is nothing wrong with his
Mm-mm.
portrayal. I,
No.
I think that they really did this character dirty, and I think that in this movie, they drop a lot of that, and they give like the character a path to redemption. In addition, you have Ghost. Listen, she may not have been necessary in the movie, but I'll say this: she was a lot more likable than anything I saw in Ant-Man 2. I felt
Oh,
like
sure, yeah.
maybe they wanted to round it out with a woman or whatever it is. I don't know. I didn't hate her. I didn't That's the thing. I didn't sit there and say I hate her. You could look at it after the fact. Did she contribute? Did she didn't? I think they just wanted a group of people. She did have the invisible thing that she did, which was important, especially in the early part. The one thing that for me really showed that there was, in my opinion, an attempt at course correction, and this is a bit of a spoiler, even though it's not much of a spoiler.
No.
Uh,
I know what you're gonna say.
very early in the movie, I'm talking moments into the movie, Task
Yeah.
Ma'am or Taskmaster, however you want to call this fake Taskmaster, uh, which I refer to as Task Ma'am, was surprisingly, very unceremonially, very quickly killed. Am
Just
I right?
pop, and it's over. Yeah.
So quickly,
So
so
so yeah,
quickly.
yeah, but I think before we kind of get to the plot and stuff, we were talking characters. So I'll give you my 2 cents here on the actors and the characters and stuff. I As far as Sebastian Stan, I thought his role in this was fine. I continued to enjoy his performance as the Winter Soldier, and I thought he was kind of wasted in his role. I thought he should have played a bigger role in the story, but he was fine in where he was in there, and he continues to give a good performance as that character. The one sort of comedic thing they tried with him, I didn't think worked. Didn't work for me, but you see it actually in the trailers where he's running his arm through the dishwasher to clean it off. It's like, what? Okay, sure, whatever. Uh, they did continue on the story from the Captain America film where he's now a congressman. But did I catch it right that he resigns? Did, that he's no longer in Congress by the end of the movie?
Well, I mean, this is the part that I wasn't sure because she said to him, "Oh, you didn't even last like as much as a
Yeah,
first term, whatever."
half a term or something. And I was like, Wait, so he resigned? Because they
That
never really made that
They
clear.
didn't make that clear. They did not make that clear. I wish they would have made that clear, but they didn't make it clear.
Yeah,
But
if there was a line in there, I completely missed it. Other than her mentioning, "Oh, I never thought you were a politician, but surprising that you only made it like half of your first term or something." So yeah, that was very strange. So, but yeah, I like Stan in this. He was fine. As I said, Wyatt Russell, I think it does fine with the character. And in fact, of all the characters in this, I actually thought he might have been the funniest, just because he's playing this guy who's like, he's in the military. He knows everything that's going on. He knows exactly what your SOP is for every different contingency. He's helping think through things tactically, and everyone else is just a chaos agent. And so he's like, okay, we got to do this, we got to do that, and everyone's like, shut up, military guy, and let's just do stuff. I just thought that was funny. Like, he's just sort of continually ignored when he's actually giving sound advice. I found that kind of amusing, but I honestly I thought he played the character really well, played the emotions of the character really well, and his character was genuinely rather sad, everything that he's gone through. And I actually did enjoy his performance there. David Harbour, also funny. A lot of his jokes did not land, but I
yes.
still enjoyed his performance.
See, that's the thing. I was on a stream with Nick, and Nick absolutely like hated his performance. What I told Nick is, I think that David Harbour is a good actor, and I think that actually in the moment that there was a bit of a more dramatic beat between him and Yelena,
Yes,
I
yes.
thought that there were a few more intimate, like personal moments between them that I thought that he showed that his value as a dramatic actor. The thing with the fake Russian accent and over the top like behavior, I think it's a bit too much. I don't know if they were going for a lighter tone with that. I think it's a lot to ask of David Harbour to go for that. If they really wanted that, there's Russian actors or people that are more like, I gave the example, the guy that played the Russian mob guy in Limitless. I thought that actor could have played this character a bit better. It's like David Harbour is fine, but it's very specific to have him as like kind of a crazy Russian guy. I agree that a lot of his like weird jokes didn't exactly
Did
land.
not land at all. In fact,
I'm not blaming
mid
him,
credit scene that features him is just cringeworthy. I thought it was awful. But let's see, what else do we have? Obviously we get what's her name, Olga, whatever, who plays the task ma'am, uh, who shows up for less than like 2 minutes and then is offed at the
You know
beginning of
why?
this,
You know
which is
this
fine.
is
Totally fine.
I'm totally fine with it, and you know what? It was sort of a course correction, and I'll tell you why. Nobody liked that character.
No, it was dumb. It was a terrible translation of the character from the actual
Not only that, they
comic.
had that Olga Kirilenko lady or whatever her name is. Basically, you saw her in like one shot in the movie, and the rest of the time it's not even her. It's some
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah, it's
It
a
was
guy.
some dude wearing like the costume, and then like finally in the one shot that you see somebody, it's her, and the rest of the time it's a dude. And I think that between the ridicule that she got, that the movie got, that Kevin Feige got, that Disney got, that whole movie, everybody was like laughing at that so hard. It was such a butt of everybody's joke
Mhm.
with all the girl bossing and the MCU, that the fact that they got rid of her so quickly, it almost is sort of a statement. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh, it seemed after that movie that they were trying to make Taskman a thing. In this movie, they couldn't have gotten rid of her quicker than they did. And I don't think Olga Kirilenko really cared that much, because
No.
the truth is that she wasn't on set a lot, in my opinion, for the previous one, and she didn't have to be a lot on this one either. You
Nope.
see her, she says a few words, they
She
gave her a check, and then that's it,
Yeah.
she's done. They kill
She
her
has
off.
like one line and then she's
Y-
gone.
She has one line and she's done. And the thing is that when she dies, nobody cares. None of those people in the movie
Nope.
that we're going to
Nope.
see them for the whole movie,
No
they
one in
could
the
not care
theater
less.
cared, and no one on the no one in the film cared.
It
She's
was the
gone,
most like
and it's like moving on.
Right. It was the most insignificant, death. And there's almost like a joke. See, you're talking about jokes and humor. That was something that I don't know if it was intended to be funny or not, but like, I
Yeah.
don't know if it's Yelena or one of them. Well, she died like she lived. I don't know what she says. And they just all kind of look at each other and like, yeah,
Yeah.
of course. And like
But
move on.
well, and then
Never mention her again.
no, she does show up one more time. That's when they're looting her body. They go
Oh,
back
maybe you're right. Yeah.
and they're looting her body when they're
Something
trapped.
like that. Yeah.
They're
You're
taking
right.
equipment off of her, and they're like, and Yelena has some line about respect for the dead or something, and you're like, she wasn't going to use it, and then Walker picks up like a gun or something off of her, and he says, she wanted me to have this. What? It was just amusing because it's like nobody cares about that character. Done. It's over. Moving on.
Nobody cares.
So we got a super chat here from the Dead Man. I see you put that up.
Yes. Is it better than Captain America: Strange New Worlds? That's what I called it on another stream today because
Yep.
I said it by accident. I said Captain America: Strange New World, and it just came out like a strange slip up,
Yep.
but it caught on. So yes, it is better than Captain America: Strange New World. The
Yeah,
movie
it
wasn't
definitely is.
the movie wasn't offensively bad, and I'll say this. We've accused, especially for many movies now, from the MCU, from Disney, for all that stuff, all this kind of agenda peddling and more kind of woke stuff. I feel like this movie, for the most part, didn't have that. It just, you may like the movie, you may not like the movie, but it was just trying to be an MCU movie. The only thing that maybe I could say that was a bit dumb, which we see in these movies, is the opening scene of like Yelena kicking a bunch of guys' ass that are
Yeah.
like two
Yeah.
times her size. When again, Scarlett Johansson, I feel like when she was Black Widow, they took into consideration her size and weight, and they gave her techniques and let her do stuff that made a little more sense within the context of what we were seeing on screen. In addition, any kind of suspension of disbelief, it helps when you bring a woman who's really like a femme fatale, who really looks fantastic in the way that Scarlett did as Black Widow. Now,
Distractingly so. Yeah.
the,
That
so
helps.
right, she looks so good that you're confused. You're not even thinking about the weight of the men if he's throwing them around. But I also think that Scarlett Johansson went more to the gym. You saw a lot of these kind of reels of her working out and doing stuff. This wasn't like with Natalie Portman that they pasted muscles.
Yeah.
I believe at least that Scarlett Johansson was probably in the best shape of her life. She woke up every morning like at 5 a.m. and went to the gym, and you could tell in those movies, in my opinion at least, that she was very fit and that she did work a lot when it came to preparing for that role.
Yeah.
I don't feel the same way about Florence Pugh as Yelena.
Yeah.
It's nothing personal, but the truth is, if you just kind of look at her, I think that it's pretty clear that she doesn't put the same kind of work that Scarlett does. Like I said, she is a decent dramatic actress, and that was her strength here. But when the movie started and she's kicking everybody's ass, it's a bit much. So, like, once right out of the gate, when I saw that, I kind of rolled my eyes. There were moments that I kind of started rolling them, and I'm thinking, oh, this movie is going to really annoy me. But then, like, surprisingly, I don't know if maybe from the moment that like Task Ma'am is dead, I kind of felt like, okay, maybe maybe this movie is going to try to
Yeah.
course correct here. I
Give
really
this
felt it.
I'll give it a chance now.
Yeah, you know what? It bought a little bit of goodwill from me, and so that first part of the movie, this kind
Yeah.
of ragtag crew of losers are working together. There's also another thing which I thought was pretty decent. A lot of times when you see these kind of Senate committees and stuff like that, it's annoying.
Yeah.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus, we've seen her in a few of these movies already and shows, and each time they didn't really know what to do with her. In this movie, I feel like they did actually do a pretty decent job with her. She was given something to do that suits the actress, who is a good actress, and I feel like when it comes to a little bit of humor, I thought that she delivered a pretty humorous performance at times.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, well, we're gonna have to disagree on this one. I thought she stuck out like a sore thumb. I did not like her in this at all.
Fair enough.
At all. Every time she was on screen, I was I was distracted. I did not like anything of Julia Louis-Dreyfus in this movie. I really didn't.
That's fair enough. First of all, we don't always agree on everything, and there's nothing wrong
Yep.
even if we don't agree.
Yep.
But what I'll say is that I felt that way about her in all the previous appearances. I would always roll my eyes when I saw her. I felt the same way about, like, Florence Pugh as Yelena. These are things that, like, annoyed me. And in this movie, I felt that both of them didn't really annoy me. I like Florence Pugh here more than I've liked her probably before, in this role especially. I thought that Julia Louis-Dreyfus as the kind of slippery bureaucrat, oddly, they didn't provide such comedy, especially for looking like a Red Guardian and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
That felt forced to me. For some reason, the slippery, douchey bureaucrat lady kind of worked for me. But
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm a fan of Seinfeld.
Oh,
I've
as am
always
I.
I like that actress. I feel like she brought there were moments that she was kind of douchey and mean, and I don't know. I can't speak for you. If you didn't like it, that's cool. I felt even when I was sitting in the theater, I think a few people chuckled here and there. Like she was convincing as this douchey lady, but
Yeah.
again, we can agree to disagree on
Yeah,
it.
yeah, that's fine.
I
We
I
all
pers-
got different perspectives. That's
personally
no
thought
problem.
that this was the best use of that character to date.
Uh,
Uh,
that might be. I mean, she's been a pretty pointless character up to this point. So they definitely gave us more of her and let us see a little bit more what her actual character was like, other than just her showing up occasionally to recruit somebody or lecture somebody, right? So yeah, in this we do find out that she's more than just the Secretary of Defense, right? Was that, or no? She's the head of the CIA. Sorry.
something,
Uh,
yeah.
but that she's actually was the head of a Ox Group. Was that the name of it? Ox Group.
I guess Caleb Levine
Where,
said douchecrat. Yeah, something like
yeah,
that.
that has been working to basically develop some version of the super soldier serum, but actually trying to create superheroes, people with superpowers, not just someone who's super strong and whatever. So the actual start of the film, the beginning of everything here, we find Yelena. First of all, she spends most of the movie talking about how depressed she is. That was a choice. But you find her, like she's diving off a building, and I laughed that I said, well, at least this time she had a chute, because last time she was falling
Right,
through
right. That was even a little bit of a course correction, yeah. Last time she just, like, jumped off the building, everybody's like,
just jumped
"Okay."
off a flying, not space station,
With
helicarrier
such
thing,
poor
whatever,
CGI.
and
With
then
such poor
managed to make it
CGI.
all the way to the surface safely somehow. But this time, at least she had a chute, so it wasn't as ridiculous. But yeah, she goes in. We find out that she's there. It has something to do with Project Sentry, and I will say this: I did get a laugh out of uh, her in the lab talking about the formulaic nature of the fights that you have in the Marvel movies. She's calling out everything, the formula for how the fight's gonna go. She's like, and then he's gonna pull a gun. Okay, then I'm gonna take the gun away from him, and then he's
Right.
gonna get it back, and now he's gonna shoot at me, and he's gonna miss. And then, like she's narrating all of the exactly how this fight's gonna go down. I I genuinely thought that was kind of funny, kind of hanging a lantern on the fact that these fights are always so formulaic.
That was pretty good. I also will say that we're introduced, to Bill Pullman's son, Louis Pullman, who
Yes.
plays, like, Bob/Sentry.
Yes.
I like that actor. He reminds me of a young Bill Pullman, which is always good for me because, Bill Pullman, it's like seeing like a Lone Star type. I
Yeah.
like Bill Pullman, so I don't know. Maybe his son
Lone
benefits
Star.
from the fact that he really looks like his dad and has a similar vibe, but I don't know what to tell you. I
Yeah.
don't mind
Yeah.
that actor. I think he's
No,
fine.
I thought he was fine in this. I didn't particularly love his performance, and at the same time, I didn't hate it either. I thought there were a few standout points for him in the film, and then there were some other times when I felt like he was just kind of a non-entity in whatever scene they were in. But overall, no, I didn't have any negative feelings towards him.
Like I said,
You mentioned we had there was a hearing that was going on. After that hearing, we get to see Yelena shows up at her dad's house, Red Guardian, where he's watching old videos of him with Brezhnev.
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
I was like, okay, reliving the glory days. All right. And you find out he drives a limo service, which comes into play a bit later on. But you also find out that Yelena wants to quit. She's depressed and she doesn't like her job anymore. And Red Guardian is kind of completely lost in this because he wants nothing more than to be a hero and be loved and be famous. So after that, Yelena gets another call from Valentina that she's going to go on this mission. She's going to be sent to this warehouse where there's a thief there that she's going to go there to stop. And that's when we get the whole thing, when everybody comes together, when we get all the team members of these characters together, and also when we get Taskmaster unceremoniously taken off the table because they've apparently all been sent there to kill each other.
Right.
And basically cleaning up Valentina's mess, right? Getting rid of all the evidence. But while they're there, they tip over a box, some sort of storage box there that has Bob in it, who stands up and introduces himself. He's very unassuming. He's just Bob. He doesn't remember how he got there, who he is. But they do find Yelena finds a bunch of paperwork laying around talking about this Sentry program and basically saying they were attempting to create a superhero.
Right.
And so you get all of them in there. There's a whole thing with them trying to escape. I thought it went on a little long.
It did. That's why I told you that the first act for me was kind of wobbly. And I
Yeah.
was like, I don't know where this is going. I think this is just kind of wobbling around. It was a bit too much and too long.
Yeah.
And it's like I told you, I feel like they really wanted us to feel that they're creating camaraderie there. But I didn't think I think there was probably a better and more brief way of doing that.
Yeah.
There's something about that first act that didn't all work for me. But to the movie's credit, I'll say that even though the thing started off with kind of a weaker first act, the second act was better than the first one, and the third one was better than the second one. And it's worth mentioning that at least it improves as you watch. By the time we got to like the final third of the movie, it did capture my interest. There's some creative choices that I may have done differently there, and not everything is great. But the movie wasn't like that I said, okay, I can't watch this anymore. I just want to go and leave the theater. Like, I watched it. It was okay. It was an somewhat okay popcorn movie.
Yeah. I have one note here. During the fight in the warehouse, when they all kind of come together, where they're all supposed to be there to kill each other, I do not know what the hell is going on. John Walker, this is a soldier, right? The U.S. agent, whatever. He's in there at least twice, I think 3 times. He empties the clip of a gun and then throws the gun away, like 2 or 3 times. What the hell?
Yeah, and the
You
other thing is
reload guns. You pop the clip and you put in a new one. Why are you throwing the gun away? He does the exact same move, sort of tossing the gun off to the side. It's so dumb.
there's also that he like body slams Yelena,
Yeah.
and that's kind of weird because if he body slammed her, I think she'd be dead.
She'd be in serious, yeah. Because I mean, we're talking about a dude with this super soldier serum, right? I mean, he's strong.
Right, he should be able to kick her ass. Like, and there's a few parts he suddenly throws her, and she like gets thrown across the room. She does get like knocked around like here and there. They
Yeah.
didn't make her, and that's another thing. They didn't just completely make her a girl boss. I think that she does actually like take hits here, but at the same time, when you see a scene like that with John Walker, there's no way that after he threw her around or like body slammed her like that she'd just be getting up and walking.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they all take some pretty serious injuries later on in the film, and I'm just like, how are they still alive? How are they still moving?
How are they still moving? Yeah, it's strange, and
I thought it was fun. Why? So we've got uh, one of the, as I said, Red Guardian drives a taxi, or not taxi, a limo. Later on, he's driving the director of the CIA around. They would not just have some rando limo service driving around the director of the CIA.
Yeah, the fact that he
That's
suddenly
ridiculous.
arrived there was really, like, out of left field.
Yes,
I'm
and
sure.
then he's supposed to be in New York, and then a few minutes later in a different scene, both him and Bucky, who, like, I guess should be in New York or DC, one, they both show up in Utah. Like, how did you get here? It's just like just that time compression thing. We had a lot of that. There was way too much of that happened in Captain American Falcon. But yeah, that you get at least that just that one instance of that here, where it's like
Yeah,
all of a
you got you
sudden they're in Utah somehow.
agree with you. That was very weird and really not well explained. I thought that the idea, and this we kind of see more of it in the second act, that now they have to work together. Bucky kind of joins them. Julia Louis Dreyfus, she kind of takes over and is now controlling Bob Sentry.
Yes.
And I thought that the idea of Sentry was pretty cool. There were some ideas there, and especially when I saw him and what they did with him as a villain, there were some things that I liked there. But
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
people might argue then rather than like this big fight at the end, this big battle, it kind of has some like, people talking about their feelings and stuff.
Yeah.
It may not be for everybody. I didn't hate it. I didn't say
Yeah. Yeah.
that I hate it, but at the same time, it also like, it wasn't spectacular.
Yeah, that was what was rumored, what some people talked about as the 27-minute therapy session, I think, which I think that's dishonest. That's dishonest to say that. I thought that scene, it was very emotional, and maybe some people are very uncomfortable with emotions, but I thought that final scene, although I think once again we have a villain who's defeated. The bad guy at the end of the movie is defeated with words and emotions. But I thought it worked pretty well. You
But out
did
of all
see,
out
yeah,
of all the cases that they did that stupid crap that they defeat a villain with words, I feel like at least in this case, this guy was kind of a nutcase weirdo to begin with,
yeah,
and you knew that he had issues from like day one, from the first second you saw him.
yeah,
So if at the end the only way to like talk him down, they tried to show you that he was a pleasant guy. He cared what happened to them earlier on in the movie, and he tried to like step in and like help them. So I guess what I'm saying is they created enough moments prior to that that you kind of didn't dislike him.
yeah,
So at the end, at least when they did that, maybe you can say it's kind of dumb that it's like a talking session and all that. But I felt that if all those other Marvel movies didn't do stupid crap like that, like Captain Falcon America, where he talks to the Hulk and the Hulk,
yeah,
turns back into Harrison Ford. If we didn't have that, maybe this wouldn't stick out as much. You know what I'm saying? If there was ever a moment to try an idea like this of talking him down, this movie is somewhat of a legitimate setting for it.
yeah. There was quite a bit of sitting down and sharing trauma kind of stuff, which
Maybe
I
a bit
guess if you're
much.
into that, great, but it didn't do much for me.
No,
But
maybe a bit
actually,
much.
just approaching the fact that the central character, the central character Bob, that he is somebody who's struggled with mental health. He's essentially manic depressive, right? He's bipolar, and he was an experiment. They were experimenting on him with this super soldier, superhero sentry serum and whatnot. And on most of the people, it either killed them or they ended up killing the test subjects. And with him, he survived and ended up changing him into a superhero. But because he is bipolar, then both sides of that become super in their own way. And so when he's, with someone who's bipolar, when they have the sort of the manic side of things, they're really up. They're capable of doing lots of stuff, handling lots of things. When they're down, they're crushed. They're deeply depressed. And we see both sides of that sort of being augmented by this superhero, uh, serum or whatever that they gave him, and I think that works in the story. I think the way that they told that character, used that character, it did work. Um, I was trying to think. There was something. There was one really funny thing with Bob when we first get introduced to him. Oh, when they're escaping the building, Bob is just sort of like there. He kind of doesn't know what's going on. And then as they're getting out, he recognizes John Walker and says something to the effect of, "Wait, weren't you Captain America or something?" And he's like, "Yeah, what? Like, why would you ask?" Or something. He's like, "Oh, well, I don't know. You're just kind of a dick."
There was
So
also
it's-
something that like you were only Captain America for a few minutes, and like I don't know what
yeah,
there
for
were a
like
few,
2 seconds. Yeah.
right. There were a few funny those little
Yeah.
interactions here and there. There were some amusing things.
Some of them work. The writing was not totally on point. This is not Guardians of the Galaxy level chemistry between these characters where it all just works really well. Like with Guardians of the Galaxy, it is just working. It's there's a chemistry there from their first scenes together in the prison, right? And it just picks up and it rolls and keeps on going from there. Like everything works together. That's what makes that movie and that team so much fun. And enjoying that film is everybody is really just working together and bouncing stuff off each other, and you can feel the chemistry there. You don't really feel that chemistry throughout the whole movie. Sometimes it feels like it's working, other times it feels like it's not. But overall, I thought it was fine. We do find out that Sentry, again, he's got sort of two different sides to him. One is that he's a basically an invulnerable. He's Superman, right? Uh, Although he has even more powers than Superman, he basically has every power. Right?
Right.
He's invulnerable, he can fly, he has super speed, he has super strength, he has telekinesis, he has pyrokinesis, he can psychically manipulate people, like he can do all sorts of stuff. And he basically starts referring to himself because he's on that manic high of his bipolar nature. He starts talking about himself as a god, which
Right.
genuinely, uh, when he's working with Valentina, she tells him, basically that he's more powerful than all the Avengers put together. And he says, well, there is a God on the Avengers team. So, I guess that makes me a god too.
I like that too. Yeah, yeah. I kind of like that interaction. So I guess what I'm saying is I didn't mind that whole century, whatever. I understand
No,
that some people may not like the ending, but overall, it didn't feel as dumb and irritating as some of these other movies. It managed to try to at least course correct some stuff. But at the end, when sitting there, it's not that I sat there and think, okay, I thought to myself, okay, this is a new height, like here in the MCU, this is a new level. Not at all. I was just thinking, well, they've been making so much crap for so long, and this one is sort of watchable.
it's mid.
It's totally
It's
mid.
it's it's watchable. It's not offensive. It doesn't feel like it hates you. It doesn't feel particularly
No,
woke. I mean, unless you think approaching the subject of mental health and
no, I
depression is
don't think
woke.
so.
I don't think that is. It's interesting to see that as a subject for a superhero film. I thought it worked in some cases. In other cases, it didn't work so well. It got a little long winded, maybe a little preachy. I thought it was interesting that at the end, essentially, he's fighting his inner demon, what they call the void, uh, and they tell him to basically to stop fighting his inner demons, right? And just have a group hug. I thought that was a little odd messaging there, but
That was a bit
okay.
odd, yeah.
But whatever. So let's see what. So yeah, in the end, should we tell them that they renamed the movie at the end? They said they
Yeah,
were
I mean,
fine with
everybody knew
spoilers.
this was gonna happen. At the
Yeah,
end, they renamed the movie. Now it's Thunderbolts with little asterisks. By the time it's over, they call the movie The New
the
Avengers,
new Avengers. Yes.
which I'm not even
Um,
sure what they want. I don't know what they're doing or why they're doing it. And really, that's another issue here. Yeah, if I compare it to a lot of their other movies in like the past several years, it's certainly more watchable. But it's not that one movie like this can completely save or reverse so much damage that's been done to the
No, no, not at
franchise.
all, not at all. This is not the movie that saves the MCU. That is not the case. Is it better than some of the stuff that they've made? It is. Is it better than even some of the recent films? Yes, it is. It is better than Brave New World. Uh, did I enjoy it as much as, say, Deadpool and Wolverine? No. Uh, Deadpool and Wolverine doesn't have much of a story, but I thought it was a fun ride. It was enjoyable, especially just sort of as an homage to the Marvel era, uh, the Fox era of Marvel. But I don't hate this film. I thought it was better put together than some stuff. At the very end, of course, yes, we learned they're the new Avengers, and it's kind of shown to us that it's well, it's Valentina who tricks them sort of into a press conference to announce them as the new Avengers. But at the same time, they now have a lot of dirt on Valentina. So Florence Pugh's character, Yelena, essentially comes up to her and says, like, yeah, we own your ass now. Like, we,
Yeah.
this might be your team, but it's not your team. We have all the dirt on you. We know what's going on. So this is our team. And then during the first section of the credits, I did think it was funny. Did you see all the different newspapers, and tabloid rags and stuff like that were
Yeah.
kind of running through there? There's one of them that calls them the B-Vengers.
The Bevengers?
Yeah, B instead of A-Vengers, they're the B-Vengers.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember
Is
that. Yeah.
one of them
There were-
calls them
No,
the
and there's also
B-Vengers.
like not my Avengers
Yeah,
or
not
whatever
my
it is.
Avengers. All sorts of stuff that I thought that was clever during the credits. And then we get the mid-credits scene, which was awful. It was
The
David
Wheaties thing?
Harbour, the Wheaties thing. Yes, David Harbour trying to really play up. He's so excited that now he's a superhero and he has fame and everything, and
I
he
did
wants
like
to
the
be
there was one
recognized in the supermarket.
there was one thing that I liked though, is that the Asian woman didn't recognize him, and then like he makes her take the box, but then she kind of walks away and
She
throws it
walks away
aside,
creeped out and then leaves it behind.
leaves it there. That was mildly amusing. It
That
wasn't
was
his, at least I'll tell you this, at least her behavior juxtaposed to his cringy behavior somehow made that scene more palatable than some of the other ones that he just acts weird earlier on in the movie. At least
Yes.
there's somebody else reacting to it and kind of thinking this
that
guy's a
he's kind of
weirdo.
weird. Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty good. There's also another scene that they're sort of sitting around and there's a threat from outer space. And I
Yeah.
guess
So, there's a bunch of stuff that happens in that last
right.
the end credit scene. We find out it's 14 months later. Uh, by the way, their headquarters is the original Avengers Tower that Tony sold.
Yes,
Was that the first Spider-Man film, right? Where they're moving out of it and they're selling it.
I think so.
Yeah.
Or
So
maybe the second one. First one, I don't know.
yeah, so whatever, the company, Valentina's company bought it, and now that's the new Avengers Tower. You find out that uh, apparently they're having a copyright uh, issue with between the new Avengers and Sam Wilson's Avengers. They're arguing copyright between their two teams, which is
Yes.
just absurd. To me, that is absurdist humor right there. That's ridiculous that these superhero teams would argue over copyright. But then we also get Red Guardian. And the one thing I actually did laugh at with Red Guardian, he walks out covered head to toe in New Avengers merch.
Right. And with the
Yes.
Z, he's like, let's put a Z
yes,
at
he's
the
like,
end.
he says, yeah, I figured out what we could do to get around the copyright problem. And he's got where it says New Avengers on his outfit. Instead of S, it has a patch that has a Z on it over the S. So New Avengers. So that was amusing. But they start talking about there's a space crisis. We have no idea what that means because it doesn't appear to refer to the same thing that happens at the end of the trailer, which is that they get reported that there's some kind of extra dimensional spaceship approaching Earth. And they're all like confused, like extra dimensional? What does that even mean? Right. And then of course we get they cut to the footage showing it in space, and it's the ship from the Fantastic Four that
Right.
we've seen it in the trailers. So yeah, it's a ship from the Fantastic Four. So
It is the ship from Fantastic Four. Listen, I don't know that whole thing, the Fantastic Four. I'm not excited about,
yeah, not at
but
all.
I think that the thing with this movie is much like the way this team is in the movie. Nobody really expected much from this. The expectations were so low, and it's something so kind of out of left field that nobody cares about. That really, if it was just even made halfway decent, it would have gotten like if nothing else, not a completely negative response. And I think that that's what this movie is. It's just, there's nothing particularly great about it. It's not changing anything really. It's not reinventing any wheels. It's not revolutionary in any way. And you've probably seen these ideas that you see in this movie, uh, in this franchise, done several times before, only much better. But with
Absolutely.
all of that being said, it still wasn't the worst Marvel movie.
Nope. Nope. Yeah, there's a lot in here that's borrowed from other Marvel films. Like I said, sort of the ragtag team of losers. That's very much sort of a Guardians of the Galaxy thing, right? Bunch of screw ups, and they all come together and end up doing something good, something worthwhile. And that was done extremely well with Guardians of the Galaxy. Here, it's okay. It sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Some of the dialogue worked really well. Other parts of it just fell completely flat. Like you said earlier, there's some more serious scenes between David Harbour and Florence Pugh, between their characters, that I think work really well. And David Harbour's really putting on a performance there. The dialogue was well written. The conversation they're having is really fits in with the topic of the film. And then there's other times where most of the rest of the time David Harbour's just spewing out one-liners, and they're terrible. They're And I think part of that is supposed to be the joke, like he's the doddering old dad who just tells dad jokes all the time. But it got old,
I guess. Yeah,
honestly.
it got old.
It gets old.
I agree.
But
But I think
yeah,
I think we've given enough information to people that they can make their own decision.
yeah.
Like I said, it's not, if you see on Rotten Tomatoes 88% from critics and 96% from viewers, this doesn't ring true to me. This is
No.
something in the 60s maybe.
Yeah, let's see if we
Like for me, anything below a 60 is a fail. So this would be something above 60. I would have to think and do some calculations as to how much I would exactly give it. But this isn't getting like a, flying colors review for me. This is just something that I say it's not a failing grade and it's watchable. It's just like, when you compare it to the height, to the different heights this franchise has had, this is nowhere near any of those kind of big moments.
Yep. Yep. It if I were giving my recommendations, I would say unless you're a Marvel diehard, don't bother seeing this in the theater. Save your money, wait for Disney Plus or whatever. Uh i- it's not a movie I would say just avoid at all costs. Don't even bother. Don't even bother watching Brave New World. The Captain American Falcon.
Right.
It's
Strange
bad.
New World
It's
was
bad.
annoying. Yeah.
This it's got its good parts here and there, especially if you're someone who really has really enjoyed previous Marvel stuff. It's not a bad watch. It's not offensive. Bigot on socialist media says sounds average. Yeah, I'd say it's pretty average. It's If you're a Marvel diehard, it's worth a watch. If you're going to catch it on streaming when it's free, go for it. Otherwise, I wouldn't spend my money on a ticket.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, I
As-
think we've given our fair and balanced review
yeah,
here.
yeah,
Bigots on social media, it sounds average. It is average.
yep.
Adam Gray, I don't get the Pew hate, but gosh darn, Disney Marvel sucks butt. Yeah, listen, I don't hate her. It's just like when she's supposed to be the direct replacement, sort of a replacement in the franchise to Scarlett Johansson. It's a tough act to follow, and she's not exactly a perfect fit for it. But her
Not at
acting
all.
is fine, and she was fine in the movie.
Yep, yep.
So
I,
make of
I,
that what you will.
I don't have a problem with Florence Pugh. I do agree with you though. I think just trying to slot her in as a direct replacement for Scarlett Johansson just doesn't work. She's not. She's a very different character. She's a very different actress, and yeah, that one for one sort of. Oh well, she's just going to be the new Black Widow. It just doesn't work for me.
And by the way, and that's on our list of stories. Did you see that Twitter? Hold on one second. No, sorry, I meant that the Xbox price hike. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, I had read something about that earlier today. I think I might have a story here where I can share. Here, not the world's greatest source, but yeah, I've got a story here from IGN. You'll have to share my screen,
Hold on one second.
or you can just close your share. Either one. Yep. Microsoft says it's going to be raising the price of all of its consoles and is planning to start raising the cost of games to $80. Yep. Everybody who said, yeah, Nintendo's going to start pushing $80 games and now everyone else is going to start following suit. Well, here you go. They're going to be raising the prices of their consoles and they're going to be raising the prices of their games starting later this year. So the price hikes for the consoles and various accessories kicks in today. While they're saying that the game hikes are the price hikes to $79 for first party games are going to happen around the holiday season. So right now they're going to be bumping. Let's see, going forward, the Series S 512 gig is going to go from $300 to $380. The Series S 1 terabyte from $350 to $430. The Series X digital edition from $450 to $550.
Wow.
The Series X, which has the disk drive in it, goes from $500 to $600. And the 2 terabyte Galaxy edition from $600 to $730. Controllers are going to increase in cost by $5 to $10, depending on the type of controller that you're looking at. Some of them, the Elite controller goes up $20. The wireless headset up $10. So, a lot of this, they say, oh, we understand these changes are challenging and they were made with careful consideration given market conditions and the rising cost of development. Hey, I've got an idea. Maybe stop developing $400 million games that only earn you $100 million because they suck. Maybe start there, but okay. They're going to take it out on their customers instead. Looking ahead, we continue to focus on offering more ways to play games across any screen and ensuring value for Xbox players. Well, I'm not an Xbox player and haven't been for a long time, and I don't plan to be one anytime soon. So this isn't going to affect me even in the slightest. If I'm going to buy anything, it'll be another Steam Deck, and I'm going to be buying more games from Steam.
Is there an alternative somewhere else to buy that's not Xbox?
Well, you've got PlayStation. They have announced some slight increases in prices, I think, this year. Nothing like this though. Not $100 more. Just minor raises in their price. and but they have not announced $80 new games, not yet anyway. See, someone actually took me to task on this the other day. Like, well, so what? I mean, we used to pay more for games. Games were like $79 for the N64, for the Super Nintendo. And my answer to that is okay, yeah. With that, you got a physical cartridge. It came in a package with a manual, and when you bought that game, that was the whole game. You weren't buying 2/3 of a game that they took another third of it out to sell you back as DLC later on. You didn't have to have a day one patch. Your game was done and finished and delivered in a complete fashion. They don't do that anymore. Now they're going not only are they going to sell you this $80 game, they're going to try and sell you a $40 season pass for all the DLC, and then they're going to try and sell you horse armor and any other bullshit that they can get away with. Right? It's ridiculous. And for somebody like, say, a first party like Nintendo, where they do put out some really stellar games, they're polished, they're really enjoyable, well-made titles. Sure, I get it. That Nintendo has never been one where they want to lose money on what they're selling to the customer. I understand that at some point prices are going to have to creep up a little bit, but for some of these other titles, some of these other places, I'm sorry.
Seems exaggerated.
I don't care how good your freaking game is. I already know what's happening. I already know what you're going to do. You're going to raise the price on this, and the quality of your software is just going to continue to fall. The games industry is in a desperate situation right now. We are seeing studios failing left and right, and raising all these prices is only going to make it worse.
I agree with you.
You're going to have even more companies that are going to keep trying to push these prices up. I'm almost 100% just certain that pretty soon we're going to see the announcement for the next GTA 6, which is going to be a woke nightmare, by the way. They're going to charge minimum $100 for that title. And they're going to say, oh, but it includes the new online experience and the single player and all of this BS. I don't care. I'm not paying $100 for your game. You can just suck it, right? I'll wait 2 years, 3 years, whatever, for that to go on sale, and then I'll play it. If it's even worth playing, if it's not the absolute woke nightmare that some people already expect that it is. So, for me, I think the Nintendo raising the prices of their individual games does not make me as upset as it does for some others. But my biggest problem with Nintendo continues to be how restrictive they are with the way that they distribute their software. It's very frustrating. You might have seen this week they launched this whole thing where you can now loan games to family members. You have to be nearby. You have virtual game cards you can use to share digital games with your family members. But that also means they locked out a loophole that would allow you to do that already. And a lot of people are really frustrated with that. Also, they stopped doing this a few years ago with the advent of the Switch. It used to be that Nintendo would sell you games, and they would be at their top pricing for, say, the first couple of years. And then they would start offering those titles at lower prices. They would have their classics, right? Or their hits, or whatever you wanted to call them. And then they would release new copies of those games in different packaging and sell them for a significantly lower cost. And that allowed people who maybe couldn't afford to buy brand new games at $60, $70 to pick up those titles at a budget cost several years after their release. They don't do that anymore. They keep charging full price for their games forever, which I think is just ridiculous. Um,
It's like
the
they're learning all the wrong lessons,
they are,
and they're
and
like, "Oh,
I do think this is going to hurt Nintendo. I do think it's going to hurt Xbox.
a lot."
I think, more and more of these companies are going to start jumping in with these really high dollar prices, and more and more people are going to start picking up things like the Legion Go, the Steam Deck, and some of these other PC handhelds where you can jump in on Steam and I can buy a library of games. They're maybe not today's games. They're yesterday's games and games from last year, games from earlier this year. But I can pick up those games that are a year old, a couple of years old, play great on my little Steam Deck, even though it's not all that powerful of a system. Still really good, enjoyable games. I can pick those up for 10, sometimes, $20. And I get a lot of enjoyment out of that versus paying $80 for a game that needs a day one patch and has all this DLC and stuff that you have to actually go and pay for to really enjoy the full experience. So yeah, I think that there's going to be a lot of people that are going to start revolting against these much higher costs for games. What Microsoft really wants you to do, they really want you to buy their little their little subscription service, Xbox, Live, whatever, so that you just pay them a subscription every month instead of actually ever buying any games at all. Right. But
Yeah, that seems like a logical next step for all these companies.
yeah.
There's a lot of software. I mean, if you think in the past, if you wanted to use like Adobe, you used to get like Adobe Photoshop or whatever it is. Now, like what they do is they make you get a yearly subscription for these programs, and
Oh yeah.
every year they charge you again.
And they're wildly expensive too.
Yes, they are very
The
expensive.
yeah, so yeah, I actually know some professional photographers who have moved away from using Adobe software because it's too much. It's just too damned expensive. Uh, and there's other software that you can use that will do a lot of the same things. I'm
I
trying to
know that
remember.
when it comes to editing movies, a lot of people use DaVinci Resolve or
Yes,
Cap
I use DaVinci
CapCut or something.
Resolve for doing editing,
CapCut
and
or something like that.
yeah, CapCut's good for some work. Trying to remember um, what the uh, what the software is, that alternative that my friend uses. What is the name of that? I can't remember. Oh, it's Affinity. That's it. Affinity Photo. Um, Affinity has a few different programs, and they're ones that, you know what, you buy them and you get a license for it. They bring out a new version of it later. You're not going to get it for free,
Right.
but that's okay. If you want to upgrade, you can. You pay for it. You get the new version. That's fine. Um, but it is a paid program and it works really well. So yeah,
Yep.
that's yeah. There's so much the software, especially in the gaming. I think we're really going to see these companies struggling badly to survive over the next couple of years. There's a lot of garbage software that's out there being developed, uh, and it has not yet been released. That is just going to land with a thud. Hopefully, there are some newer titles. Maybe some of these companies have learned some lessons. They're getting rid of all the woke garbage after they've seen some of the huge failures over the last couple of years. But there's still a lot of stuff in the pipeline that's going to have to work its way out. So, yeah, I guess we'll see.
Well, before for our last item, I think that people were saying about that Elon Musk DOGE thing. If you have some clip or something to show,
Oh yeah, I do.
I don't mind looking at that because people said that was amusing.
Yeah, we can kind of hop back and forth. Like I said, it's like a 15-minute video here. I think I've got one here. This is one that I think Charlie Kirk posted. Here, let me share it. All right. And let me know if you can hear it all right.
I can't see anything.
Oh, not sharing?
Nothing.
share.
Maybe it's one of those you have to go out and come back in.
Yep, I'm probably it's we're at 2 minutes or 2 hours 6 minutes. Probably gonna get booted any second. So let me just reload here.
You are entering the world where time and space. Hey, Professor.
We're in the Twilight Zone. What?
That's what I was going to say, but I didn't remember what Rod Sterling says there. I remember it was something about time and space, but
all right, let me start.
Elon Musk was nice enough to invite us into the Eisenhower building last night to sit in on his weekly 10 p.m. DOGE meeting. Yeah, they usually meet at 10 o'clock. I'm almost in bed by then. We met the whole crew, even Big Balls, and they showed us how DOGE really gets
Big
done.
Balls.
We sat back, listened, we learned a lot, and we hope you do too. Here's part one of our exclusive interview. Elon, thank you so much for bringing us into the meeting here. I'm going to do something no anchor ever does. I'm not going to talk.
What?
For as long as possible.
You're talking right now.
I'm going to let you run your meeting, and then I'll interrupt when I'm bored. So take it away.
So, like a board meeting?
Like a board meeting. Exactly.
All right. Well, I guess we normally go around the table, say what do we get done this week?
This way?
Sure. No, we start with you.
Sure. So actually,
So I like this. It's funny that we've got Elon here because this is kind of like a Scrum meeting. If you know anything about software development, where you just have everybody goes around and reports what they got done this week. I like it.
And there's a board usually.
a lot of great work at the Treasury this week. One of the crazy things with regards to the Treasury is that when a payment is made, and the computers at the Treasury actually pay about $5 trillion per year, like crazy amounts. There was formerly not a budget code on there. So if a payment was made, you didn't know actually what it was for. It could have been for anything. Yeah. There was a $4 billion COVID fund in the Department of Education, and there was no receipts required. So people could just draw down on it. And when people looked into it, this wasn't us, this was before us, they found that money was being used to rent out Caesar's Palace for parties, rent out stadiums, et cetera. And so the one change that DOGE made with Department of Education is we had the simple requirement that if you draw down money, you must first upload a receipt. That was the only change that was made. You must upload your receipt. And upon doing so, nobody drew down any money anymore.
Yes, but we didn't say that we'd check the receipt. You could send a fake receipt. You could send a picture of your dog. Anything. And but as soon as we asked for anything at all, suddenly the requests were like, oh, we don't need it anymore. Huh, that's interesting.
They were renting Caesar's Palace.
Yes, they were like basically partying on the taxpayer money.
Stadiums.
Yes.
Leasing stadiums. For what?
For parties, basically.
For parties.
Yes.
That's a big party.
It's a big party.
You'd think if you were stealing, you'd start small.
They do start small. But then what happens is over the years, so generally the fraud starts out small and they try to hide it. But then year after year, if nobody stops the fraud, it gets more and more brazen. And every year it gets bigger until they're literally renting out stadiums. Like
$1 million to rent out a stadium?
Fraud in flagrante delicto, okay? We're talking at scale.
This is driving me crazy.
Oh, yeah.
When you find these things, do you guys get mad? You're like, yes, I got one. How does it make you feel?
It's so common.
It's so common. I mean, you just get numb to it. Like, unfortunately, by the 100th time you've heard it, it's hard not to get a little numb. Yeah. You know, but and by the 200th time, you're like, well, okay, it's just another day at the office.
We checked, is the Small Business Administration giving loans to dead people over the age of 120? The answer was yes, and it was around $330 million in total. So
people with a birthday that could not possibly be real.
Yeah.
Meaning they're over 100, they're 115 years old or older. The oldest living American is 114. So it's safe to say if anybody is in the system as 115 years or older, that is fake.
So just by sharing a database and looking at Social Security numbers that showed that at the time of the loan, they had listed as over 115 years old, or actually under 11. We didn't even check for under 18.
Babies and dead
under 11 years old. That's pretty clear.
Babies
right?
and dead people were getting loans.
That was $660 million.
Yeah, and also people with birth dates in the future.
What does that mean?
I think the birth date. I think in one case was like
fetuses. We're getting loans.
Not even. No, really, sort of you're talking about like your great grandchildren, like with a birth date, like I think it was like 2165. So more than a century from now was the birthday.
George Jetson was getting paid.
Yes, because your birthday is in the future, like the far future, not like next year.
Right.
And this is either fraudulent or we have your birthday wrong.
It's either a typo or someone's stealing.
Which is it? Yes,
right.
Yes. You should at least ask, which is it?
Do you guys feel you're getting justice and accountability?
One of the extreme examples of non-accountability in some cases has occurred at some of the small agencies. I think the Inter-American Foundation, IAF, is one of the agencies we visited where they get $50 million a year, congressional money, to give grants. These are things like alpaca farming in Peru, improving
that's a real example.
Yes, that's the real description. Improving the marketability of peas in Guatemala.
Really?
Fruit jam. And yes.
What? Yeah.
So you might expect, in the private sector, a nonprofit to give 80 to 90% of their money to grantees. In the case of IAF, that was 58%. So the other half goes towards management, travel.
What we're find exactly, I mean, to use an example is that even if you agreed with supporting alpaca farmers in Peru, well, actually, most of the money never made it out of DC.
Mm-hmm.
It's going into the pockets of people in the neighborhood.
What percentage
didn't even get to Peru?
Right. So what percentage do you think doesn't even get to the destination it's supposed to?
I believe the GAO estimates, this is not our estimate, I believe it was on the order of only 10 to 15 cents on the dollar actually gets to the end recipient, whether you agree with that cause or not.
So they're just stealing the money before it even gets anywhere.
Good grief. 10 to 15 cents on the dollar actually goes. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep.
Wow. That's amazing.
I agree.
And this kind of fraud is just happening on the regular, right? It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
There's layers of stealing. So there's the first layer of stealing, second layer of stealing, third layer of stealing.
Subcontractor.
You start peeling the onion. Yeah, exactly. Contractor, subcontractor. It's like peeling an onion. And then maybe, and sometimes it's zero. Just flat. You get to the bottom of the onion, there's nothing there.
So maybe no one got a sex change in Guatemala.
It's possible that no one got a sex change in Guatemala.
I overheard a contractor tell one of her colleagues to falsify billable hours by creating a PowerPoint to mask a delay in the onboarding process in front of me. And this is like hour zero at this agency. And so, I mean, this is just a common theme that you take a look at these contracts, you take a look at these grants, and it's veiled in noble rhetoric. It's at the top level. It
sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. And then you actually just follow what are the funds actually doing?
Or send us a picture.
Exactly. And
the send us a picture request is incredibly good. Like Pixar didn't happen. And then they're like, and it wouldn't be that hard to just, frankly, they could just for some fake pics on the internet or get AI to generate the pics, but they don't even bother doing that.
So you caught them cold billing fraud.
Well, I caught them, her advising her colleague to do this because it takes a few days to onboard. So that is being investigated right now.
Yeah, I mean, generally, like these programs, these grants are going to be like along the lines of save the baby pandas. And it's like, well, of course, who wouldn't want to save the baby pandas? And in some cases, they've got a show panda, which they'll trot out for special occasions. In a lot of cases, they don't even have a show panda.
No panda.
There's not even one panda because we asked for pictures, and we don't even get one panda. And it's like, well, that's a lot of, what does $1 billion get you? Does it not even get you one panda?
You really want to see a baby panda?
Yeah. Like the Ebola money. We're like, okay, well, we agree with, we shouldn't have Ebola, Where's the money going? Oh, it's going to Deloitte in DC. Like, what is an accounting firm doing with Ebola money?
What has been the biggest resistance? Is there one agency? Is there one department that when you guys walk in, they all start fighting you? Start hiding things.
I thought you weren't going to talk.
I'm sorry.
But I guess you can answer that question. Sure. I mean, yes, we've certainly had some battles.
Battles.
Yeah. I mean, who should talk about Yusuf?
Nate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's an agency, a small agency called the United States Institute of Peace. It's definitely the agency we had the most fight at. We actually went into the agency and found that they had loaded guns inside of their headquarters. Institute for Peace.
I mean, any given company, any given organizational name is going to be the opposite of the title.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was by far the least peaceful agency that we've worked with, ironically.
Of course.
Additionally, we found that they were spending money on things like private jets, and they even had a $130,000 contract with a former member of the Taliban. This is real. We don't encounter that at most agencies.
Yeah.
What was the money going to the Taliban for?
So it was a contractor. They received $130,000 for generic services. And to Elon's point, there was not actually a clear description of what the contractor services were for. But
was it for opium?
Unclear.
Or weapons?
Or nothing.
Or nothing.
or abroad.
Or nothing.
And you naturally have to ask the question, well, how did we get here? Like when the country was founded, there were only 4 agencies. Today there are over 400. So there's been a 100x increase in the number of agencies since the founding of the nation. And thanks to President Trump, he's now signed 2 executive orders to start to reduce the number of agencies in the government, and the Institute of Peace was one of them, which is why our team went into trying to understand what was going on. And that's when we found all of the craziness, like the weapons in their armory. We found the payments to the Taliban.
So just try to hide the evidence.
Right. So just a few hours after we got into their headquarters, we found that their chief accountant had actually deleted over 1 terabyte of accounting records from several years. So you'd have to ask the question, well, why would somebody do that? The DOGE team, fortunately, was able to recover that data with the help of a few great employees at the Institute of Peace. And I think the most troubling thing was they received $55 million a year from Congress, and any money that went unspent, instead of returning that to Congress, they would sweep it into a private bank account, which had no congressional oversight. And that's what they would use to fund things like events at their headquarters and the private jets. And so I think it's a great example because most Americans don't know what's going on at a lot of these smaller agencies. And this is, I think, the most extreme case of some of the wasteful spend that we're finding.
So the agencies are hiding money from you. They're sending it to the Taliban. They have loaded weapons in the department buildings.
At the Institute of Peace.
At the Institute of Peace.
Yeah.
That's right.
So this is a cover-up when you guys roll in.
This one is a cover-up.
It's a cover-up.
They did delete a vast amount of financial information. That's really a definition of a cover-up.
Isn't that illegal to delete evidence?
Yes.
Shred documents?
It is. It's certainly illegal to delete accounting records that that Congress would certainly want to know where the congressionally appropriated funds are going from taxpayers.
When you catch them going Hillary style on their computers, do you refer this to the Department of Justice?
In this case, we did refer the evidence in the accounting example to the FBI and DOJ. We were proud to do that. So yes, we did.
Resistance has shown up in some very surprising places. So for example, the famous fork in the road email, the deferred resignation program. So this was a program where you could resign from the government, collect pay and benefits for the next 8 months. Probably the most attractive separation program ever in human history. And the resistance actually came from the outside with people saying this is a trick. And I heard somebody refer to it as an apple with a razor blade. And no, this was just a really juicy apple, caramel dipped apple. It was that good, but people were talked out of taking it. And now what started to happen is we did have about 80,000 people take it. And now those folks that did take it are on the beach or they moved on to a new job and they're still getting paid. And so now we're starting to offer fork 2 and fork 3, where people can see that someone's eaten this apple and it was actually really tasty and good for them.
Is DOGE just getting started? This is a long-term enterprise.
It's a long-term enterprise because if we take our eye off the ball, the waste and fraud will come roaring back.
They can DOGE when Democrats get back in power.
Yeah. Well, I think some of the things that, like, we're trying to have it be such that the funding is removed, so the grants are gone. So if there's a lot of work required to restart the waste and fraud, and that will at least slow it down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thought it was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny to see them actually talk about it. It's funny to hear them too. They're like, yeah, the first time you see that $200 million being misappropriated, it's pretty shocking. And then the next time it's kind of like, yeah, another one. And then eventually it's like every day. It's like, oh my God.
I think it's overall a positive thing that he's finding waste. I don't think that's bad. I think what the media is doing is probably unfair. I'm not saying he's a perfect guy, but I think it's important to uncover some of this stuff.
Oh, sure.
What do you think?
Yeah. Oh, no, I think it's very important that this stuff get uncovered. I mean, we've seen this kind of grift going on in the government for a really long time, and it's been kind of an open secret that it's happening, but nobody really knew exactly how bad it was, right?
Yep.
But now we're getting a look at all the stuff that that's been happening, all of these different programs that have just been essentially just stealing money from the federal government to pay to any number of special interests that a lot of them very political, very, very specific goals that are all of them. This is not something that's like, well, there was theft on both sides. No, This was almost exclusively
Democrats.
on Democratic for progressive, progressive
Causes and
different
stuff, yeah.
causes. Yeah. So, I mean, it's wild to see.
I agree. I absolutely agree.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
All right. Well, I think we've kind of gone over our topics today.
Yeah.
Maybe we
Didn't
can say
didn't
goodbye.
touch on Andor, but do we really need
Oh,
to?
you know what?
It's
You know what?
okay.
The last few minutes we can talk about
Yeah,
Andor
yeah.
if
I
you
don't
are
know
to
that we
go.
need to talk about it too terribly long. We did talk about the first episode of the second, third, or second three episodes of the show. I guess
So
it's going to be
confusing.
4. It's going to be 4 groups of 3, right? For the 12 episodes. So, um,
Let me see if I can
yeah.
find this.
Um, overall, it has gotten a bit better.
But
I
not a
did
whole lot for me. Not
not
a
a
whole
whole
lot.
lot. No, I did find that the second 2 episodes in this group of 3 were definitely more interesting. Right at the end of the second episode, there was some pretty good stuff. The last episode had some good stuff in it, but overall, not like didn't blow me away. That supposedly that 6th episode was the one that's supposed to really just everything starts happening. There is more action in that episode. There's definitely some stuff happening with the rebellion that you get to see, actually, rebelling. But it's not a masterpiece at all. I'm ready. I'm still interested in seeing more. I'll keep watching. There were some highlights. I really enjoyed Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah, I thought that he was good, especially with the young guy that he's like talking to him. And
Yes,
there was
when
one scene that was the only scene that I felt something that he's like telling him
yes,
this,
and
you're
that was
here now, kind of telling him that he's the part of the rebellion now, and like the way he was talking to him in this kind of scene that almost was like almost like a type of pep talk. I
Yes.
thought that was a rather interesting scene.
That was
and it-
very well done. Yes.
very well done, and it was one of maybe the only moment in all these episodes. I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool, and then the next scene already, I don't know what's happening. There
Yes.
were some ideas here that weren't bad, but man, is it slow! It is so effing slow. It's like it's beyond anything that I can let slide. I mean, I really wrestled to get through these second batch of 3 episodes, and Chris Gore, which I respect, but I was told again. He said that around episode 6, you really feel that it gets great. I didn't really feel that it gets great. I feel like that same issue that it had in season 1 and even more so in season 2. I don't like this idea that they keep wasting my time. Yes, there's scenes and situations and ideas that I don't dislike, but man, like I shouldn't have to suffer until we get to them.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah,
It's still too slow.
Yeah, the one scene that you're talking about, the one that we got with Forrest Whitaker and the younger guy, I cannot remember his name.
Will or something like
Will,
that.
yeah,
That's probably
Wilman,
something like
Willem,
that, but short for
yeah,
Will. That
yeah.
was probably the best scene in the entire, maybe in an entire Andor season 2 until now.
Up
Was
to now,
Forrest,
yeah, it worked, and it works really well. Where you get him, he gets kind of manic. He's played this character. The Forrest Whitaker's played this character, kind of on the edge of crazy, right? And
right? He's on the edge of crazy.
you start to see him. He kind of comes out of his shell. He comes alive for a little bit, and he starts talking about how what the rebellion is, and connecting to this. He's got this sort of connection to the rhydonium, which is fuel, right? That's what they use for fuel in spaceships, at least in most of the lore of Star Wars. But there's sort of a gaseous form to it, and it can burn your lungs and your skin and everything. And so earlier he kind of tells this story about how when he was a kid, he got exposed to it and he didn't know really what it was going to do to him, and after a while he's sort of like it's almost like there's a high that he gets off of being around it, and so he's stepping up to it like in this gaseous form, and the other guy's freaking out because he's like, it's going to burn you, it's going to harm you, whatever, and he's just like, he's right there and he's like, no, it's part of me now, and I breathe it in, and and that's what the rebellion is. It's part of you, and you breathe it in, and you become part of what it is. And so like he's giving this really rousing speech to this guy about how he
Yeah, it was
doesn't
like
need
getting him pumped,
he doesn't need to be timid. He's part of something important. This rebellion is important, and he needs to embrace it and really, he's essentially he's radicalizing him, right? In that scene, he's drawing out that feeling that he needs to be part of something bigger, and it works really well. That whole scene, I was like, that is what I remember from the first season with that speech from Luthen and some of the other stuff that happened.
Right.
Where there's some energy, and you're really feeling like this.
But that
This was the core of the rebellion.
really
But that's it.
that was
was
the only
it.
emotion. I've been watching this for 6 episodes, and the only real emotion I felt was that one scene you
Yeah.
described. That
And
was the
then-
only thing, that something was happening. I'm like, oh, okay, what's this? And
The-
then they just, whatever goodwill they built in that scene, they spent it. Maybe that's the end of that episode, and then the next time you see it, it's already
that was
boring
kind of
again.
the end of that episode. But
The two lesbian ladies, oh, come
yeah,
on,
I
man.
don't care
know.
about their love story.
Love story.
We're
What
kept
do you want from
apart.
me? What do you want now with this shit? Sorry, Sean. Like, I'm
I did-
sorry. It's too much. I don't care that they're lesbians. I don't care about all that stuff. Like,
I did like to not as much as some of the stuff that we got from Luthen, not as much as the scene that we got with Forrest Whitaker's character, but the speech that she gives the guy after
he
she's
kills
dead.
the lady, and he's
Yeah,
just like, "Oh, look, you're a whimpering weakling. Your
Yeah,
whole life."
well, you're going to carry this with you for
Right.
forever, right? This
It
is
was
not,
all
you can't
right.
walk away from this.
You
It was
know,
okay. It wasn't great, but it was okay. It started to get a little bit better there. But no, okay, the thing that left me scratching my head.
that party with Krennic that they're like playing around with that stupid thing.
I liked that okay. I liked some of the verbal jabs and stuff going back and forth in that scene. It was all right. But no, the thing that left me scratching my head, Andor and Bix have a mission. We've got a mission now. They disappear for the rest of the episode until somehow they've managed to find their way into a top secret, secure facility where the Emperor is hiding his new pet project. And it happened, and it's that guy that
It's
tortured
that guy
her.
that she dreams about. So they
It's the
had
guy
their
that
girl
tortured
boss
her,
moment where she
whatever.
gets even with him. Yeah.
So she kills the guy, and then they walk out. What? Like it just came out of nowhere.
I agree with you. That was the thing that they blew that up. You know what? The thing is that this show wears me out. It bores me so much that by the time random things happen that are dumb, I'm almost too tired to even notice them because I'm just trying to like get through the slog of watching these episodes. Once in a while, there's an actor, there's half a scene, half a sentence, half a dialogue. But for me, now we're halfway through the series. Personally, this is my opinion. These first 6 episodes have been nothing short of a disaster, worse than season 1. Season 1 had its issues, but there were enough moments that I thought were worth something. I feel like here we didn't get enough of those. There's a few moments, not enough. We've been watching this for like 6 hours, man. We've spent a long time watching this, and I don't think that it's justified. I don't think that whatever they've done here, they could have done in maybe instead of 6 episodes in like 2 episodes.
Yeah. There's so much of this has just been dragged out for so long. Things that could have been told in 20 minutes of a well-written
Totally. I mean,
story.
the thing is, and you know what, and I'm happy you brought this up. I've gotten some really annoying comments over my Twitter posts. Some of them, a lot of people. I had a few posts that, like, I don't know if to say like viral, but they got a lot of traction. A lot of people were responding to them, and some of the comments were so annoying. They're like, "Oh, you don't like mature Star Wars." I didn't say I didn't like mature Star Wars. There's a difference between mature Star Wars and Star Wars that bores me. That bores me like beyond anything that's reasonable. Oh, it's a slow burn. You don't like it. This is not a slow burn. The Godfather 1 is a slow burn. This is like a race of turtles, like turtles like doing like a race. You know what I mean? This is not like a slow burn that they're just like kind of building it up gradually. This does not qualify as a slow burn. You don't get to like bore me and make me want to go to sleep every second and say that it's like a slow burn. And then they're like, "Oh, you just don't get it. You're expecting like pew pew." Shut the fuck up. Sorry, Sean. That's not what I'm expecting. The other thing is, I'll put it this way, and why is like my choice, why my options in Star Wars is either like the Acolyte, which is like dumb, stupid crap that like is like nonsensical, idiotic, and insulting, to like Andor, which is like serious and boring. Why are those my options? Why is it, that from the day that Kathleen Kennedy took over here and Disney and all that stuff, we haven't had like a good movie about some kind of Jedi. We haven't had like real duels. We haven't had like real characters that anybody actually cares about. I think that for me, Star Wars at its best is something that combines between some of that mystical stuff, some of that Jedi stuff, some of the cool stuff, but also, other things that are happening in space, a little bit of politics. There was a lot that could be done here, but I think that Andor is too much in whatever direction it's going, and its worst sin is how slow and boring it is.
Yep. It is. I don't know who these people are who are claiming this is a masterpiece. There's so much about this that just doesn't work that well. Maybe the last 6 episodes are gonna blow our minds. Maybe they're gonna be amazing. I don't know. But for now, I'm still watching. I'm not expecting much.
I'm not either. And I've been getting the same type of comments on like my Doctor Who reviews. Like I did a Doctor Who review. Oh, you don't like such annoying little shits. Like I on YouTube, I don't like answering people because I feel like it's probably not to your benefit to start like arguing with people that are watching your video. I don't want any issues, but man, there's some people that really tempt me. There's one guy that's like, "How can I take your review seriously with your stupid AI voice?" It's like, it's not an AI voice, it's me talking. And the thing is, like, anytime you click on a button to see who these people are or look at any kind of information about them, they're not coming from a place that they're just like objective. They're not like, it's fine, you watch a review, you don't agree with it. You could write, "Hey, I don't agree with your review." Usually if you write that, I'll just write, "Okay, well, we can agree to disagree. Happy you enjoyed it, but I didn't like it." That's usually my response. People are just like, it's like they're losing their mind because I'm not a shill and I'm not going to say that something's great. And I feel that way about Andor, and I certainly feel that way about Doctor Who.
Oh yeah, I can't even. I God bless you. I can't even watch Doctor Who. It's so bad. I can't. It's your job, I suppose, but still,
It's a complete and utter disaster. Yes,
it's appalling. It's so bad. I tried to watch some of the episodes from the first season with Shooty, and every episode was a chore.
It's a disaster. The last episode was almost watchable, but not even like a Thunderbolts watchable. It was like, because Shooty is the Doctor, it's still not possible. Even if the screenplay was a little less crappy, he still is not convincing as the Doctor. And I did a video about it, and I have so many weirdos going there and like answering. I don't know what, like, I listen, I really don't care. Like I said, if you write on my review, I don't like your review, I disagree with you, I feel very differently, go ahead, write whatever you think. I always am interested in hearing other people's opinions, even if they're different than my own. But when it's just like, "Oh, you're just a terrible person, how dare you," and all this stuff, like, screw you. I get so many shitty comments from people.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, Thankfully, I don't know. It goes to my spam. Like I have like you have like when you have mail DMs in Twitter, it goes to your spam. Once in a while, I go into my spam, and usually I find like really like nasty messages that I guess people wrote to me. It's like, what do you want from me? I never do that. I never go and write like nasty messages to people. Some of them are like really, you know, to say mean is an understatement. Like things that are really like crazy things here and there. Sometimes it's just people that are just getting really annoyed. I never write to anybody. So what? You tweeted something I don't agree with, so I'm gonna go and like make thinly veiled threats or something. Like what do you want? You like a show, you think it's so good, you go watch that crap. What do you want from me?
Yeah, you go enjoy it. I'm not gonna stop you
Go
from
enjoy
enjoying
it.
it. Go.
You like to watch like Mon Mothma dancing for an hour, go watch that and leave me the F alone.
Yeah, go enjoy that. It's great. But yeah, no, it's sad what's happened to Star Wars.
It is
I
sad.
wouldn't mind a more mature Star Wars show. In fact, I don't really mind it. It's sad that like there's so much crap Star Wars now, and we've got so many shills that just have to fawn all over anything that comes out. It's frustrating. So all right. Well, anyway, I think we've said enough. Let's go ahead and say hi to some of the friends we've had in our chat tonight. So see, we had Kivo 1961. It's great to see you. Bigot on Socialist Media, Phantom Monk, Bingo Hazmet, Elizabeth Quince, Omami, Hypno Crab, One Dirty Bird, Cool Frog stopped in for a bit tonight. Not a Cool Frog raid, but we did get to Cool Frog to pop in, so that's good. Yona and Awodi and Dude Bro Seth 420.
Yona means bird.
Yeah, cool. Let's see. We had FKHC 2005, Mary White, the mightily generous Mary White, who
Very,
gave us
very
a
generous. Yeah.
lovely gift of memberships to the YouTube channel. Zun RJ 5, Jonathan Conroy, Caleb Levine, Stephen Mack, The Dead Man, Void King, Juan Carlos Gonzalez Jr., Kelly Hans, Tim Hayes, Ace Hanlon, Jamalama, Marks 47, Iron Man, Read by Nature, Yitis, Nelson Santana, James Caserta, Lady Luna Vikas, our lovely mod Adam Gray. Yes, I said you're lovely, Adam, and Jim Noxious, Barbara Lawrence. Hey there, Babs. Six was stopped by for a little bit. Whalem 03, Marlo Sharondoff, Johnny Ripple. We had Istophobos joining in tonight. Num was also here. Righteous Score, and then I think that's E. Clay Thomason, and I think that gets everybody. I hope I didn't miss anyone. Anything else, Bryce?
No, I think we're good, and I want to thank everybody for joining us. It's been a really nice stream. We had some great interaction both on YouTube and on Rumble.
Yeah.
And again, Rumble, if you're watching through the app and you haven't signed up, you should. And if you do that, please also follow us and get notifications. Shout out to Rumble also, our headquarters for our show. And in addition, also any other platform like YouTube, if you're watching, that's cool too. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you like the stream. All stuff that's really good for us.
Yeah.
And we love hanging out with everybody here. Thank you for the chats, for the support, for everything that you all do, and just for giving us, your time and hanging out with us. And we never take that for granted. I want to thank everybody. I want to thank you, Professor, for joining me on this stream as we do every Tuesday and Thursday on the Night Owl.
Yeah,
and I guess we'll see you guys next
Yeah.
week.
Well, before we head out, just real quick, tomorrow night I will be joining Adam Gray and Babs and Smilex and everyone else. I'll be joining them over on B-Sides, actually on B-Roll stage. I'll be joining them I'm going to be a regular member of the panel over there moving forward. So I'll be joining them most every Friday night. I know that Adam was saying earlier that they're just a few subs short over on Rumble of being able to qualify for the creator program. So if you don't mind, over on Rumble, the channel is B-Roll Stage. If you want to give them a follow, that would help Adam and his crew out over there.
Absolutely.
So that they
Absolutely
can
do that.
they can get up to their numbers so that they can get on that creator program.
That sounds like a great idea. Adam Gray is a mod here, and he does a great job. Please do what the professor just said. Certainly support them.
Yep. And that's it. Yeah, tomorrow night on B-Roll Stage, I'll be there. We're watching a terrible old sci-fi movie, so yeah, be fun.
All right, guys. So on that very positive note, I think we can head out, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yes. Take care, everyone.
Bye, guys.